Hey everyone, I'm Moni G. I caught you hopefully before you took off to do all your chores. Um, Hi Lacey,
Hey, how's it going?
it's great. How are you?
I'm well. Thanks for holding on while I was late. It's been one of those mornings.
You know what's too funny is right after I emailed you back about no worries, 15-30 minutes, not a big deal. I went to put my laundry from the washer to the dryer, and my all the laundry in my washer was just still filled in water, and I'm like, what the hell? So
Oh
I had to
no.
call my landlord. I'm like, my washer won't spin the water out. So I was like, well, now I'm gonna be late too. So it worked out fine.
Oh no. Well, I hope that it gets fixed.
Yeah, I think we got it working. I've never had an issue, but I think my clothes this time, this load just ended up being too heavy. It was a lot of pants and stuff. So once I took it out, it worked with nothing in it. So I just got to be careful not to put too much in it, I think.
Yeah. I learned that the hard way and ended up flooding my mother's entire first floor of her condo.
Oh no. Oh,
Uh that was like a several $100 insurance claim to get all the floors replaced.
wow. That's
Yeah.
early. So yeah, it wasn't even just like stuff that had to be soaked up or whatever. It had to be replaced. Oh no.
Oh yeah. I mean it was gone. It was gone. um and it was just it was one of those machines that had an agitator in the middle, and so like I just put way too many things in there, and um that's yeah.
We
I'm
all learn,
I'm
we learn from our mistakes, right?
yeah, yep.
Yeah,
We
well, it
sure
happens.
do.
Yep.
Hi, Nicola.
Hi, Nicola.
Nicola.
Yeah, it's so funny. I always when she's every time I see her name, I think Ricola, and I say that
Yeah.
every time I see her in my chat because of that stupid commercial. I don't know why. Have you ever had that where you see something and you hear something like totally different, even though it's just what
Oh,
gets in your
oh
head?
yeah. Yeah, I've always thought that it was like a hillbilly form of dyslexia. Like because it's not real dyslexia because I'm not seeing it backwards,
Right.
but it's like I'm seeing an entirely different word and thinking of I don't know. I get what you mean.
Yeah. I think
Um oh, keep going.
no, oh, I was just gonna say, I think it happens to a lot of people. A lot of people say that. I think it's I can't one of it was somebody else in the chat I was in the other day. Some people were like 4 or 5 people were making comments to someone's name and I couldn't see what they were referring. But then it's like it hits me like with this. It's like people probably are like, what are you talking about? But it's just the way my brain registers it. I don't know why.
Yep.
I do have a couple questions for you since you were lovely enough to join me last night. At the end of my psych light night last night, we just decided to watch the closing arguments in the Gerhardt Konig trial. I wasn't that informed about it. I had seen Loophole. Are you familiar with Loophole Lawyer? He does a lot of AI funny stuff, a lot about Karen Reed.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. And right
Oh,
before I
you're
started this, my allergies kicked up. Oh, I need to turn on my humidifier.
Oh, that always helps.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Now we got all systems a go now. Okay. So I'm glad that you mentioned Karen Reed because I was gonna say like, yeah, but how do I know them? It's from Karen Reed. Yeah.
Yes, he does a lot. It's a lot of AI kind of fun. He's an actual lawyer, but he's a lot of kind of a jokester when it comes
What's
to online. But I had saw a short of his making fun of how many times the word testicles was used in this
Oh my God, that's what I did. And by the way, I should connect with Loophole Lawyer because my name, I by trade, I was a lobbyist for many years. I'm currently sick. I'm not working.
um,
But I my nickname as a lobbyist was always loophole Lacey, because I can find any loophole in the legislation to pass things. It's a unique thing. So
For sure.
it's funny that you said that, and I use it for good powers. It's nothing bad. But this testicle. It was nonstop.
Yeah.
And it was obnoxious. Like, and all the guys, they're sitting there like, whoa, oh, gross. And there's so many other, words that he could have used other than testicle.
Yes.
And, but if you want my insight as someone who followed this trial and who thinks I've done a pretty good job breaking down the bits and the pieces, I had someone comment in my chat yesterday, and it was a completely unsolicited comment, but it really resonated with me. It was a local who said that, he might come off a certain way to people outside of Hawaii, but and I'm talking about the defense attorney.
Gotcha.
But that guy is a local there in that community. The people know him. He was speaking in a way that he knew he would be heard. And I thought that was super interesting. So what we might take as kind of brash and annoying is what, like, their culture there, they are more attuned to like direct and that kind of lawyering.
Gotcha. That makes sense too. I mean, I never even thought of that it could be totally different there. So that's a good way to explain it.
Yeah.
I literally haven't watched any of this trial besides this short. I was going to show you because it's really funny. But with that being said, I watched the closing arguments last night just to see, because you can normally tell what the trial is going to be about if you got, two good closing statements. And I was amazed at how many times that defense attorney said it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. I'm like, oh my God. So, but maybe that's just the way they talk, being that what you said, it's you take
cultural differences.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll definitely have to. I really am looking forward to now watching the entire trial. Just from watching the closing statements, I did find it funny how young the prosecutor looked. He literally looked like a 12-year-old, and
that's what every time I saw the prosecutor stand up, I was like, he's just a baby.
Yes. I have a 22-year-old son who looks older than him, but still in my eyes looks like a baby. And this guy, this prosecutor, looked even younger than my son. And I'm like, what? Because somebody made the comment that the older you get, the younger people just keep looking younger. And I'm like, yeah, that's true. But I'm sorry, this guy doesn't even look like he could have went to law school, let alone have an actual law degree and be a prosecutor already.
Be a prosecutor.
Yeah.
So, and not like a law clerk.
Right.
I don't know. I'm not going to go making conclusions on your show, but I don't know if it's nepotism going on. I don't know if this kid was like baby genius. Right. I don't know, but something's going on because we are correct. I refuse to have someone say it's just because we're getting older.
Yeah.
I really don't agree with that. I think that guy is just a baby.
Just a baby. Exactly. It's, I don't know how he, I mean, you said it perfectly. How is he not just like a law clerk or an errand boy at that point? I mean, he looks so young that he's prosecuting a pretty highly publicized case too, no less.
Exactly.
And he's so little.
Did someone die in that office? Like, did was this like a last minute change in the play? Like,
I know, right?
What?
And I'll just let you know too on my channel, You can say whatever you want. I swear like a trucker. I say this all the time. I have no limitations on the F word flying out of my mouth. It's just the way I rant, and I can't help it. So,
I used to
and
be
if
like that too.
everyone is entitled to their own opinion. The only rule I have ever put in my chat is that don't outwardly and rudely insult me or my chat, and otherwise you're fine. You can say whatever you want.
Yeah, I don't let people get in
Hey,
on
James.
not ignore. I don't let people demean my mods.
Yes.
And I am a free speech absolutionist, and at a certain point, if you are taking that too far, I'll give you a warning in my chat. But otherwise it's free advertising. The more people post, it's an algo boost.
Right.
So
that's also true.
All right. What's this short?
Yes, this is a short. It's just, this is Loophole Lawyer, and it caught me. It was so funny. He always makes really good ones, but this is the one he made on how many times he used the word testicles. Oops, hold on, I'm clicking wrong buttons here. Give me one moment. Here we go.
She grabs you by the testicles.
Play ball. We're going to keep track of how many times poor Gerhardt here references the word testicles on our scoreboard.
She grabbed your testicles, is that right?
Yes.
How hard did she grab it?
Was holding on to me by my testicles, basically.
Did she grab it and let go, or did she grab it and hold on?
She grabbed it and held on. I try to free my testicles. I'm like thrashing and I get both hands free, and I'm trying to get her to let go of my testicles. And then she hits me with a rock on the side of the face.
The scoreboard indicates 5 balls to 0 strikes. Let's keep watching.
She's holding on to your testicles. You're kind of focused on that, obviously.
On the ground, and she's grabbed my testicles. Everything after the grabbing of the testicles happened very quickly.
He's laughing about
And you
it.
weren't timing it or anything. Just your best.
What did he say there?
So now,
hold on, let me rewind. I don't
so
know.
sorry.
No, you're fine, because what catches me off guard right there is that he's laughing and
yeah, I want to know.
There you go.
and you weren't timing.
Oh, my rewind isn't working. Let's go back. There we go.
The scoreboard indicates 5 balls to 0 strikes. Let's keep watching.
She's holding on to your testicles. You're kind of focused on that, obviously.
On the ground, and she's grabbed my testicles. Everything after the grabbing of the testicles happened very quickly.
And you weren't timing it or anything. Just your best. Okay.
So he said everything that happened after the grabbing of the testicles happened very quickly, is what he said. And he's laughing about it. Like, this is funny.
I mean, it's like, I guess, like, my job. I know your name, but I'm gonna call you Miss Scarlett. Miss Scarlett.
Thank
you. My job on my channel is to always play devil's advocate, and it drives everyone crazy. But like, I use humor in very uncomfortable situations. Maybe he's the same way. We don't know.
No, and I appreciate that, and that's another thing too, because my degree is in psychology, and so in deciding to start a channel, my interest what started my interest in doing this was in learning everything I could after watching Karen Read Trial 2. I didn't get into Karen Read, didn't know anything about it until just before Karen Read 2 started. So I am now just finished watching entire Trial 1. So I could start from the beginning and see where it all started. So I was working on a video in particular about group thinking and conformity. And so I realized I couldn't really get in depth the way I wanted unless I truly understood where it all started. So that led to me just watching on a daily basis with people who wanted to rewatch it with me or whatever. And that gave me a way to start my channel as well. So we just finished Trial 1. We watched the Ronnie the juror interview to get some insight in the jury room, which literally made my blood boil listening to the stupidity of that. And now we've just started rewatching now Trial 2.
I'll send people that come to me asking about Karen Read. I'll send them to you because I I've lived through it. I lived through both of them. I'm not putting myself through that hellhole
I don't blame you.
I think all my mods would like protest and picket in front of my house.
Well, it's definitely a lot to take in. So yeah, if anyone is interested or has questions, I'm all things Karen Reed right now, just because of where I want to take my channel within the psychology phenomenon within like true crime, which is where I want to take my entire channel at one point. But starting with Karen Reed is just one of the easiest and one of the most intriguing to my brain, being where I stepped into it. And now learning about the ins and outs of that whole community.
So what do you think happened to John O'Keefe?
My opinion is I don't think anything was intentional. I completely agree that he was not hit by a car. I worked in the medical field, mental health, and I worked for an orthopedic surgeon for several years. I've seen these kind of injuries. So I fully believe that he was not hit by a car. Now, with that being said, I jump back and forth with what really happened, but I do not believe anything was intentional. Now, when it comes to the dog and Chloe, yes, I don't know. Like, I go back and forth with that too. Like, at first I thought, well, maybe the dog just attacked him and he fell. But then the more and more they covered up, it's like, how many people are going to cover up for a freaking dog? Like,
I know.
So then you start to wonder, just did they get into a fight and that's where the dog jumped in? So that's where my mind goes. Is it somehow, some way they got into a fight and it went too far, or he just was an accident? He got punched and hit his head, fell and hit his head the wrong way. So.
I think that what happened to him happens all the time in bar brawls, with the exception of Chloe. I think Chloe was stepping in to defend her owner,
right?
Or like family members that Chloe felt comfortable around, and I believe that his boxers were on inside out. His there was something about his socks.
Yeah, the vomit is another thing, because I used to work in one of the jobs I had years ago. I worked in a memory care unit of an assisted living facility.
Oh yeah,
and I've seen these coup contra coup injuries because the elderly, especially, are prone to falling and hitting their head. And the black eyes, especially, and I didn't realize in watching trial 2 that they didn't address this in trial 1 until like long after. I was like, what? And especially not realizing until the end of trial 2 that there were even x-rays. Like, the whole thing is just a mess.
Massachusetts is a mess.
Oh my God. Yeah. I thank God every day I don't live there.
Yeah,
I live in
so
Michigan, by the way.
I'm in Ohio.
You're in Ohio? Oh,
yep.
We're pretty
I'm
close.
in Columbus. So
I'm in South. I'm in Metro Detroit.
Oh, okay. All right.
Cool. But yeah, so that's where I'm at. And so in the people that have joined me in watching and rewatching trial 1 have now asked me are we going to go through trial 2? And I wasn't going to at first. However, binge watching trial 1 the way I did, and I was like, now I don't even remember trial 2. So I figured, yeah, what the hell? Let's go through it, because even now we just finished Ian Whitman's testimony in trial 2, and comparing the two, it's absolutely insane the differences already when you compare the two.
I'm having PTSD.
I'm so sorry.
No, do you see the red Solo cups? Oh, you don't?
No.
Behind me.
Oh my God. That's awesome.
Those are red Solo cup lights from the case.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I like those.
So I know we're jumping around, but how many times did he end up saying testicles?
Oh, here. Yeah, let's finish that real quick. This is just too funny. So I think we were at 5. So here we go.
So now She's squeezing your testicles, kind of dealing with that. Still got your testicles?
Yeah. So
Another ball.
she's like holding my testicle and just like
Okay.
hitting me like this.
And now do you stop dealing with your
I'm
testicles?
just
and
focused on the rock at this point.
Okay.
Yeah. Wrestle the rock out of her hand.
she still have your testicles?
Yes.
Still squeezing them?
Yes. I hit her with the rock.
And when you did, was she still holding on to your testicles?
Yes.
At least initially?
Yes.
Were you able to safely retreat and get away from her?
No.
Why not?
She was holding on to me.
Including your testicles?
Yes.
This seems to be a classic he said, she said, but one thing is for sure, she definitely had him by the balls.
He always does that smile at the end of his videos.
I need someone to teach me how to do shorts like that, because I saw in my analytics that like 86% of my YouTube live views come from my shorts.
Yeah, they're really
And
pushing the shorts.
I can't believe that I used to be the one to teach social media to people, and now I am so far behind. Like I don't know how to do TikTok. I don't know how to do shorts, and I am missing out on a huge opportunity because of my channel growth has been incredible, and I feel like I'm just shooting myself in the foot by not knowing how to do these.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I've been working on shorts only because my channel, I've only been working on my channel, 2 months now I've been live.
It's a while.
Yeah,
Consistency.
the shorts are not, I mean, even the ones I make are not like this. You know, they're normally a small edited version of my live, or something I'd caught in the media, like the I don't know if you, since you're in Ohio, not the Tempe ones, but
That's like 20 minutes from my house.
yeah. Oh my God. Oof. That one's I'm interested for that one when he comes up. That's another surgeon, another doctor that's going to be
Yeah, I've been covering a lot of doctors recently. It's weird.
It is. It's crazy. That guy looks so scary though.
But in his regular photos, he looks handsome as hell. He
really?
looks like an absolute freaking stud. He is gorgeous. But in his jail photos, he looks terrifying.
Yes.
Wait till you see the wedding photos. Like super handsome, super suave, built like a football player. Like, I don't know. They were a very good looking couple. It's so unfortunate that he let the jealousy take over his life. And I will say he hired the best lawyer for this job.
Oh yeah.
And that's scary to me, because I've seen Diane Menashe get so many people off.
Oh shit.
Yeah. It's wild.
I mean, that's in that right there. That's where I want to take the trials that I give insight on and do videos on, besides doing any live streaming of trials, is getting insight into the mind. That's what's always intrigued me, because it's like this guy obsessed for 10 years. Like
the isolation year. I was in your chat the other day when you were in the bathtub.
Yeah, he says clip it. Going back to shorts, that's one thing I've been trying to teach myself because of YouTube pushing shorts. I mean, if you remember on YouTube, even maybe a year ago, when you first signed in, your first homepage would be all videos. Now it's all shorts. Like you get 1 or 2 full-length videos popping up. And now it's literally all you see is shorts when you sign in YouTube. So clipping it, like Skip said, clipping it is the best way to do it. Just to post a short. Just
okay.
Yeah, do you have CapCut? That's what I was going to ask.
I do, and I even pay for it.
So I CapCut I just got a few weeks ago, thanks to someone, a friend of mine, Crispy Treat, who were it's like you got to get it. I was trying to do this all in my phone by saving bits and pieces and then like recording them, watching it. It was like I was just doing things the hard way. And she's like, get CapCut. And as soon as I started using it, because I actually had it downloaded, but I never used it. So she's like, no, you got to use it. So now that I'm learning the ins and outs of CapCut, it does help a lot, but I'm still like, I'm just now getting used to making AI photos. So trying to make like using AI to make a video, I have no clue. None.
Yeah. I'm intimidated. Like I wish I could hire a college kid from Ohio State to just spend a Saturday with me and like an elderly woman that I am, just like walk me through it.
And see, I say that too because I'm a very visual learner. I'm a habitual Googler to look things up and watch someone else do it. Because normally when I see it, I can then read it.
I need to be able to ask questions. I need to see someone do it, and I need to do it myself. I am so high maintenance in that regard. I was one of the first. I joke that I was diagnosed with ADD before that was a thing. I was put on Ritalin in first grade.
I just talked about how Ritalin used to be the most overprescribed medication.
And it's it was definitely like a hush thing. Don't talk about it. Like, my parents like were very ashamed that I had a learning disability, but I ended up graduating. Well, I ended up going to college on a full ride and then graduating top, like really high up in my class, not top. And then getting my master's as well with a 4.0. So
that's amazing.
I'm smart. It takes me a minute.
I talked about that the other day too, just because I hate to like boost myself up, but I am pretty intelligent. I skipped a grade in elementary school.
Wow.
But I also, I'll be honest, I'm a habitual procrastinator. So
Me too.
high school, I graduated with like a 3.5. And in college, I think I was just above a 3.5, 3.6. I made psych high. So I had a high enough GPA for that, but I could have done a lot better had I just done things on time or did the preparation for things. But I'm especially with school, I waited till the last minute. In high school, I would do my assignments literally at an hour before I had to go to school that morning.
Me too.
Like it was just that bad.
In Spanish class before the next class that required the assignment, I would be like getting everything done. So I get it. I do.
It's
hey, everybody.
Even at my age of 47 now, I still have to force myself to do stuff and not procrastinate. Like it becomes a habit. It just is. And I've just always been that way. And yet every time I do something and I prepare for it properly, I'm like, why don't I do this all the time?
Right.
This is so much better. There's less stress, less anxiety, but yet I still do it.
I'm A/B testing right now on my channel, and the test is whether I get a higher, better analytics if I post about my stream the night before. Like I pre-plan my show for the next day. And unfortunately, it's saying that yes, I should be doing that. And
that's a good idea. I
I usually do mine at 11 a.m. before my 3 o'clock show, and
me too.
I am. It's just I think my biggest trepidation with this all is the fact that with my illness, I never know how I'm going to be feeling in the morning. And I'm scared to be scheduling things and have an off day and not be able to do it, because that that doesn't look good on your algorithm. So
Right. I have to say, I agree. I don't know if you talk about your illness or whatever that you struggle with online, but I have talked several times. I have CRPS. I have both my hips replaced in my 30s because I have severe osteoarthritis. So I deal with daily pain, like literally daily pain. I have a pain pump that it's that severe. So I too get that where what if you have a really bad day? And that's another reason I do the same thing.
I have fibromyalgia and rheumatoid arthritis,
Oh yeah.
and it led to a condition with my the aorta of my heart, and I'm having surgery on that on May 13th.
Oh
so
wow.
it's a chronic pain. They say that the pain is like end stage pancreatic cancer, and it's been tough. Like,
Yeah.
just sometimes people don't realize, like, getting up and down the stairs, that in itself is like a major accomplishment. So
Yeah.
not being able to go live because I scheduled my stupid stream day early. I don't know. I'm going to need some further convincing.
Yeah, I get, we should talk about this one day because it seems like we do have a lot in common. I talk about it quite a bit actually on my stream just because sometimes I have daily struggles. Same with my groceries. I do, because I tell people just because it saves money. If you ever get your groceries delivered,
That's all I do.
Use DoorDash because they constantly have a supermarket or store that has spend $40, get 25% off every week. It's a different store, but they always have one of those going on pretty much. And for $10 a month, you can get, and what I was complaining about is I live on a second floor apartment, unfortunately, and stairs, I can go downstairs normally without an issue. As long as I'm not holding on to anything, I can use the rail. But coming upstairs, that's the hard part for me. And when the idiots from DoorDash leave my groceries outside the main door instead of bringing them upstairs to my apartment, like it just pisses me off to no end.
Yeah, that would really upset me. I do delivery because my husband is he goes to the grocery store when he's hungry, and we end up with 5 bags of cookies. And so I've found that when we do the delivery, it's much cheaper.
It is. They always DoorDash. You pay $10 a month for your DoorDash or DoorDash pass.
Thank you, Jen.
You get great discounts, and not only that, you get discounts that aren't in the store. Like I drink my Coca-Cola. That's my caffeine that I drink. I don't eat a lot of sugary like food, but my Coca-Cola is my caffeine and sugar for the day. And I can get at Meijer's. I get 24 packs for $9.99. Tell me that you can go to the store and get even a 12 pack for $8.99. Okay, so I get a 24 pack for $9.99 through DoorDash. So like, there's all kinds of stuff like that. It's amazing.
Huh.
Yep.
I'm definitely gonna play this for my husband later so he can hear that.
Yes,
because he does the grocery shopping. I can't go to the grocery store. I'm not allowed to drive right now, and just waiting for this stupid surgery. So
yeah, I don't drive just because I sold my car. I work from home. I made my regular job that I still work. I can't work like wholly full time. So that's another reason I started this channel, because of what I'm going through. And I'm trying, I got denied disability. I went through an appeal, which my lawyers has said, don't worry, you're going to get it, no problem. And I still got denied. My lawyers were just flabbergasted. They have no idea. So now I'm starting the process all over again.
I'm worried about that. I'm worried about even trying. And I'm worried that it'll like impact my ability to like if my channel gets to that point where I'm having success with it, like from a financial perspective,
right?
I'm worried that it will any disability payments will impact it. But I've been told by literally 5 of my doctors that I am the ideal candidate, and this is what they created disability for.
Right. And you know, I'm going to be honest with you. My friend Crispy Treat, she's in the YouTubers. She's helping me with my channel. She's come on with me a couple times. She's in a couple different communities, but she lives in Ohio too. And she even said, she's like, you need to move to Ohio, because apparently Ohio is like one of the easiest states to get disability. So, I mean,
Oh,
the worst thing that can happen, like Michigan is one of the hardest. It's absolutely insane here. My lawyers, I mean, you couldn't believe the shit that was coming out of my lawyer's mouth when I got my denial after the appeal. Like, they were just like, what the fuck? Like, no.
Zach knows this, but I'm planning on moving to Florida. Of course, right when I was about to give Zach a compliment,
did he make something?
he literally like knew that I was going to say something
Zach,
nice.
be nice. I should say hi. Sorry, I've been ignoring my chat. I'm so sorry, but I'm interested in learning about Lacey. That I met her last night, thanks to Scott Messerschmidt. And I want to say hi. I said hi to Dodo and Skip and Shelly. And Moni G is here, and of course Zach's here. Ugh, I'm just kidding. So Genuine, thank you guys for being here.
I'm super happy to see all these people. I recognize these names, and 2 of these people are my mods.
Scott is the one who introduced me to you and said, because when we decided to watch at the end of my psych night last night, everyone's like talking about this Konig, and I was like, I really don't know anything about it. I'm like, let's watch Closing Statements, and that's what led to us being introduced, which I'm thank you so much, Scott, and thank you again for being here, Lacey.
I will tell you that, and you're welcome. Sorry. I wanted to make sure that I let you know this before I forget. With my channel, what is different about my coverage of true crime and trials is that I only do the highlights. And that'll be like an entire piece of testimony from a witness. But if I feel like something is going to bore my audience, I will give like a quick debrief on it. So if anyone is interested in that kind of content, I would love to collaborate in that way. And why that is important for you, Miss Scarlett, is because there were a lot of witnesses during the trial of Dr. Konig that were just absolute snooze fest. And
gotcha.
I don't want you to feel discouraged. Like day five is awful.
Gotcha.
I skipped the entire day.
Oh, I don't blame you.
It was bad. So like, if you ever have questions about those like any trials that you think I might have covered,
that sounds great.
I have a photographic memory, so I can usually recall things pretty quickly.
That's awesome. I'm definitely going to be coming to you for that kind of stuff. So now going back to Gerhardt Konig. Now I watched do you know Mo in the Deep End in the morning?
I was just texting her yesterday.
Oh my God. So I just recently started watching her. I was gifted a membership in her chat, which was totally awesome. So this morning, she's been covering now, I think since day 1. This morning, I caught her going over day 3. So I got to see some of the wife's testimony, which I found her very credible. What did you think about the wife? I only saw bits and pieces, so keep that in mind. But go ahead. Oh.
I will never forget seeing a photo of someone with like a blanket over their head and sunglasses waiting for Taylor Swift tickets because they didn't want to get in trouble with their work because they had taken off the day to get Taylor Swift tickets. And that's how I feel right now. Like, I don't want people to see my face when I say this. So as for his wife, no one ever deserves to, A of all, be beat up by your spouse.
No.
A of all, rather, and B of all, be threatened to be thrown over a mountain, as long as that is what occurred. With that being said, first and foremost, I do not even acknowledge the discussion surrounding the syringe in the vial because it was never found. So in my eyes, that is not, it's not important, because if God forbid you or I needed to have a jury of our peers help us, or provide us with justice in the justice system, we would want them to base their decisions off of evidence and facts and not allegations.
Right.
So I was really annoyed to hear them talking about it so much during the closings yesterday. But as for Arielle, I am deeply disturbed by the fact that there were over 10,000 messages that she deleted between her and her colleague. But at the same time, and the question I kept coming back to with my audience, with my chat, was, why the hell are we talking about her affair? Like, you do not have to prove motive in a case, period. Full
I
stop.
felt the same way about the life insurance, because that's the part I
Yes.
heard about. It was
So
like, why are we talking about this?
I am a huge, I don't care what anyone says. If you are watching me right now and you're actually listening, I implore you, every 4 to 6 months, please reevaluate your life insurance. That is such an important thing that people usually just tend to once and forget about it. And if the worst thing happens, your family's out, like, because the life insurance wasn't updated, and life situations change, employment changes, so on and so forth. So that's another thing they kept bringing up, rather, and it really annoyed me. But other than the cheating, and I believe that she was, but I don't know why we're talking about it, and the syringe with the vial, and the stupid freaking life insurance, yeah, I think she's okay. I think this was a rage-filled incident. You cannot convince me otherwise that it was premeditated. And I think that the biggest indication of that is one of the witnesses' testimony on day one, when she said she saw Dr. Konig with the rock over her, his wife, and when he heard the girls, he just stopped and sat back and just like went like this, like he just went into like that 1,000-mile stare, whatever they call it,
Right.
because he found himself in a what the fuck did I just do situation. And I think it should have been felonious assault with the max sentence. I don't know what that is, but I think it was ballsy going for attempted murder, and I think that's what the jury is struggling with right now.
Do they have assault with a deadly weapon on the docket, or is it just attempted murder?
No, I'm just throwing in my 2 cents because I'm a lawyer on
I
YouTube.
just wondered because sometimes they do that. If they don't find the higher one, they give them the lower one. But sometimes they don't. They go all in on one and then they screw themselves.
So, yeah, that's what I just thought was, and that apparently a lot of people have been saying this, and I'm late to catch on to this thought as well about the felonious assault. And I think it was Genuine said, oh no, Shelly, she said he probably threw it off the cliff. I had a guy in my chat who lives in Hawaii on the Big Island, and he said, oh yeah, if he threw it off the cliff, like it could easily never be found again. Okay, riddle me this. They spent extensive amount of time, like, and so many resources, that not only that day, but the following day and the following day.
Oh, so they did go searching for it.
Oh, yes.
So you got to remember, I haven't watched any of this. So, okay, gotcha.
It just, now, do I think that man kept propofol at home? 100%.
Well, yeah.
I don't know a doctor that, depending on their specialty, I do not know a doctor that, and yet I know this is illegal, that doesn't have drugs in case of an emergency.
Exactly. I'm sure they all do it. And whether
I'm sorry. I
yeah,
know people are going to be like, oh, that can't be true because it's a controlled substance and this and that and the other. They open up the meds when someone is in the ER. They do not end up using all the e-meds, not e-meds, the meds, because maybe that person died. There was an allergy. They didn't need as much. And instead of throwing that stuff away, it can just get very easily tucked into someone's scrubs.
Yep, exactly. Because I
And-
can actually attest to that, ironically enough, because my mom, she had a stroke a few years ago. She passed in 2023, but several years before she passed, she had a stroke, and she ended up on a ventilator because long story, but I
Yep.
cry when I talk about her, so I'm going to try not to do that on the stream today.
I
But
understand.
she was put on a ventilator, and propofol, or it's depending on how they put you out. There's a difference. They can
Fentanyl
use
and
propofol
propofol
or-
is my
right,
favorite.
exactly. So fentanyl and propofol, you got two very high controlled substances being used in large vials, the large,
Mhm.
huge ones, in an automated PCA machine, a pump. Even after surgery, the PCA pumps that people can use after surgery, and then they don't need it anymore. So, and they can't reuse that vial anywhere else. It's been
No.
contaminated. So what are they going to do? Yeah, they're going to say, oh, I can use this if I ever need it or whatever. And they're going to take it.
In case of emergency.
Yeah,
I am a
100%.
huge prepper, like not in the sense of I have like 3 months worth of food in my basement or anything, but I have other things that will keep me safe. I'll leave that there. You guys are going to think I'm crazy. But so Shelly said, did they actually go down the cliffs to look? From my understanding, that is what the dogs were used for. There were a ton of resources allocated towards finding this. And that's why it comes back to, if I were on the stand or in the hot seat rather, and I needed a jury of my peers to decide my fate, I would pray to God that they would go off of the evidence before them and the facts. And there is nothing that was said that moves this from an allegation to a fact or a piece of evidence.
I agree there, because until there's any, because it's basically her word against his at that point. So technically,
That's
jury
exactly
instructions
right.
tell them that they can use, if they find them credible, their
Yep.
testimony is evidence. So yes, I guess you can technically use her word saying that it was there, that as evidence, but you also have, if you're going to do that, you have to take in the information and fact that they did search for it, that quickly afterwards and didn't find anything as well.
I mean, not a cent, not nothing. And it's not like it would have just evaporated. It would have probably broken,
Mhm.
but there would be pieces. There would be the syringe. I mean, the math ain't mathin' with it. And
With her
can't-
testimony, I have a question for you, actually, that brings up,
Mhm.
because the little bit of her testimony that I saw this morning, the lawyer, the defense attorney, was going on and on about how she explained that he had a vial in one hand and was covering her mouth, but still was hitting her with the rock. And he was kind of trying to trip her up, it seemed, and he wasn't doing it because, as Mo, and I was, like I said, I was watching with Mo, and as she explained it, she's like, if you're a mom who multitasks and changed a baby's diaper and literally can hold the diaper bin, get the new one.
You use your mouth, you use your armpit, you use your thighs. Like, I don't have a baby, and I know exactly what you're talking about. Like, okay, I have to address something in the chat. Shelly, Zach wants you to know that he's ignoring you because he won't stop talking about it. And so I feel the need to let you know. Oh, Shelly said she's never heard of a man named Zach.
Yeah, they always tease each other in my chat.
So
as we know, Zach is just a big prankster, so you love him.
That's why I enjoy, he in the chat the other day, I had a stream where I was celebrating 1 million views on my channel.
Oh, congratulations.
And thank you. It actually happened. I had no idea. So I was a little late.
That's awesome.
But I had I looked nice that day. I put myself together, and then my phone glitched, and so my face was blurry and it wasn't showing up. And Zach said something along the lines of "Oh, you look so great now that your face is blurred."
Oh, geez, Zach, come on now.
It actually made me laugh really hard. I thought it was hilarious. So it takes.
He always cracks me up.
Yeah, he has a good sense of humor, but I think there's a lot of common grounds between us in terms of kind of our life situation, and a lot of people feel shame affiliated with kind of the hand that we've been dealt.
Yeah.
When they are first diagnosed, or they think that they need to go get diagnosed. So I think the more that we talk about it, you want to do this fine balancing walk. You don't want to over talk about it and make people feel uncomfortable or make it seem like you want pity, because that's genuinely not the case. But at the same time, you also want to be an advocate and let people know how what it's like and what to expect. And you can be a resource for people. You can help people, point them in the right direction if they've encountered a misstep along the way dealing with things like CRPS. The thing I had to message Mo about yesterday over text was a chair. I'm going to be in a chair or bed solely for 2 weeks. And so I asked her what kind of chair she uses. And it's just having that community. It's really nice.
Yeah, it's I actually, when I told you, I sent you that email, said I don't go on camera yet. I plan to. That's actually my explanation. I tell people is the reason I haven't really gone on camera yet is because with the CRPS and the pain that I deal with every day, I constantly have to move. I can't sit, stand, or lay in one position for too long.
Oh,
And
you should
so
see my streams. I apologized yesterday for fidgeting. I literally wrote in my chat, I'm so sorry for fidgeting. I'm in so much pain. And
so you get it. And
yep,
that's why I haven't done it, because I literally will end up laying down on my floor at some point and then on my couch. And then especially if it's a long day of streaming, because streaming the first trial, I have literally streamed 8 hours. And by then I'm like, I go lay in my bed. Like, I'm like, screw this crap.
yeah.
So, when you're not on camera, I can do all that without worrying about people watching me constantly be moving. So.
The best way to grow your channel is to be on camera, but at the same time, I completely understand that no one else probably understands as much as I do. So I think in my case, I've just embraced it. Like, you never know what I'm gonna. That's why I have a stupid freaking like one of those date balls where you say, like, is Johnny gonna love me, and you shake
the
it.
8 balls, yeah. I love
Yeah,
those.
I have one. I have a gnome that is George W. Bush holding the American flag.
Aww.
There's the Magic 8 Ball. I have my Karen Reed solo cup lights.
I love
and
those.
Just a bunch of random things that I've grabbed when I've been bored in the middle of testimony.
Hey, I get it. And everybody that has embraced my channel and comes here and hangs out with me, even if it's not, because like I said, with the Karen Reed, and we're binge watching so much of it so fast, they hang out with me for hours and hours. And I truly appreciate even the small community that I have right now. I love it. And as I do, and that's the plan, is to go on camera, especially when I start really getting into the psychology videos that I want to do. It's the plan. But I don't have the best chair, because that's another reason that brought me up. You're talking about chairs. My computer chair is I'm on 5 years old and crappy.
I'm on a couch. I desperately need the chair that Mo has, but it's $2,000.
Oh my God.
So I actually need it for my surgery and recovery. So I'm gonna after speaking with some people, I thought really, really hard about this. I am gonna set up a Give Send Go.
Yes, do that.
Because I have to travel for my surgery. My husband has to take off even more time. It's a whole thing. Anyways, someone asked what I think the verdict will be.
Yeah. Are we on verdict watch, Shelley?
We are.
No, I didn't think it came in yet.
We are waiting until 3:00 today when they start deliberating again. I personally believe it will be come back before 12 p.m. Hawaiian time, or else 2 p.m.
What is the difference in time there from Eastern Standard Time?
So when I am starting at 3 p.m., they are at 9 a.m.
Okay, great.
So I have personally disowned Hawaii as a part of the United States after this. And I never wanted to go there in the first place. And now you can't convince me. I'm not going.
I don't blame you. I do want to mention too, just because Scott did put it in, and Maylin put it in my thing, and why I definitely recommend a Give Send Go. I had some issues a couple months back where my daily fuck you, Boost Mobile, my chat will get that. Boost Mobile stole a lot of money from me due to a trade-in that they supposedly never received, but then guaranteed that they did receive it, and then guaranteed my money back. And on the 9th out of 10 days, they said it would be back in my account, said, oh, sorry, you don't qualify for your money back. So now they have my phone and my money. So the apartment that I moved into last year is a month-to-month apartment. It's a furnished apartment, more for like executives, but I had to move quickly and I didn't have a lot of furniture. And I found this place and it works wonderfully because I don't even have monthly bills. Like everything is included in my rent, like electricity, water, and blah, blah, blah. So
if someone, if I do have to say this, if we have someone that has like a truck that is going from Columbus to Detroit, I have so many things. If you need anything,
Thank you.
we have like doubles of everything because he and I were older when we got married.
Mhm.
So keep going. Sorry, I
Thank
had
you.
to
No,
say
you're
that.
fine. Thank you. No, I will definitely keep that in mind because there are still things that I do need. But I did, I was really lucky in finding this furnished apartment the way I did, and it not being very expensive considering where I live as well. But what I was saying is that a friend of mine, I literally was worried because I can get evicted if I don't pay my rent because it's a month and not a lease. It wouldn't
Oh yeah.
have to go through court. It would just be like, you didn't pay your rent this month, bye-bye. So the point is that a friend of mine was like, you need money. Where are you gonna live? Because I literally would have nowhere to go. And she made a Gibson go for me, and I just talked about it on my channel because they knew, the people that come here knew the story, because I wasn't worried. They were like, you're going to get your money back. It just took a long time, took several months. So when they finally said you're going to get your money back, I paid other bills accordingly. I'm thinking, okay, my money's going to be back in 10 days, knowing that my April rent was going to be due. And then telling me at the last minute that, sorry, you don't have that. I'm like, who is so dumb to give you their phone, their old phone, and let you keep the money? I could have sold that fucking phone, excuse my
Wow.
language. And seriously, you then tell me after receiving my phone that I don't qualify for my money back? Are you fucking kidding me? I just, oh my God, I went on so many rants after that.
I've never experienced that, but I can see how
Oh,
that could happen, like in the mail, and that's awful.
yeah. And because Boost Mobile is one, I'm going to be honest, I went there because they are cheaper. I live a modest lifestyle, but I'm perfectly happy with it. I stay within my limits of what I make and what I can and cannot spend. And
Yeah.
when you take hundreds and hundreds of dollars away from me, you screwed me. Like, they screwed me big time. So with that being said, my friend, and I'm not one to ask for help. I went through years of medical issues. That's another thing, talking about the healthcare, especially
I
I
have
can't.
about $8,000 just from getting diagnosed in
Yeah.
healthcare
Oh
bills,
God.
that
Yeah.
and that doesn't include surgical expenses that I have coming,
Exactly.
and
It's
physical
awful.
therapy, needing help. Like it's going to be a whole thing.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. So what I was saying with that is that it's definitely, um this is what they're made for. Some people abuse those kind of things, but this community has been so amazing. I tell people, I know other people have come on hard times. This economy sucks. It's even people that were even in middle class before the economy we're in now are now considered lower class, just because all they can afford are their daily things. They can't afford any extravagant vacation anymore. Or just everything is so damn expensive. But
Yeah.
that being said, is that my friends started the Gives and Go. People have been so kind to at least share it around. I've had it for a couple weeks. I've made about $300, but that $300 has gone a long way
I'm
for someone
sure.
who really needed it. And so it can really help. And one thing that my community here has told me, because I told them how embarrassed I'm embarrassed even saying, if you want to support me, here's my PayPal. I just let it scroll at the bottom and leave the QR code, and I barely say anything. But people are like, why would, if so and so said they needed money for something, would you be embarrassed for them or think they should be embarrassed? And I'm like, well, hell no. And so that it really makes you think, because it does. But I've always been independent that way, especially the years and years I spent trying to get a diagnosis, and the years
Yeah.
I saw so many doctors prior to my diagnosis
In
and
the
my hip
last year
surgeries
alone.
who
Yeah.
constantly, they'd look at me and treat me like I was a drug addict or a drug
Yeah.
seeker. And it's like, dude, you have no idea what it's like to live in this kind of pain and then have doctor after doctor treat you like you're making it up. Like, it was awful.
And now they're all backpedaling because they
Oh
found
yeah.
out what my diagnosis is, and
Oh,
the fact
yeah.
that it has, if you look it up, they say that the pain that I'm going through is equivalent to end stage pancreatic cancer.
Yep.
And so, like, all these people that were assholes to me. I really hope they've reassessed how they engage with other patients and not just making assumptions.
Yep.
Ugh.
I totally get I totally relate with you there because of this. I'm going to bring this up. When people don't understand the pain scale, this is one. The McGill Pain Index is one of the biggest ones they go by, and this is the one I like to show so that people can understand how painful it is, and I'm sure that you're right there with me. So they have this chart here, and
shoot, it's almost 2:30. I gotta get off in 5 minutes. Just so you know.
No problem. But really quickly, I'll go over this. Is right here. If you see at number 40, so 50, the McGill Pain Index goes up to 50. 0 being no pain, 50 being obviously being the highest. Number 40 is childbirth with no training, meaning like no medication, your first birth, everything.
Psycho.
Yeah, CRPS is 42, which is right above childbirth. And this is not just childbirth, a couple days or whatever, or hours of pain. This is every single day I have this kind of pain. And so look at fibromyalgia is at 30. So even fibromyalgia alone is up there, not to mention other conditions.
I always dismiss it. I always dismiss the fibro. But that's interesting to see that it's so high up.
People don't, and because I actually was diagnosed with fibromyalgia years and years and years ago before, way when a lot of doctors didn't even believe that fibromyalgia was a real disease as they.
Are you there? Can you guys hear her? Hello? Okay. So, since she's muted, then we will go ahead and say a prayer. No, I'm kidding. I have to go get ready for my stream. I normally do my streams Tuesdays through Fridays beginning at 3:45. But with this
I don't know what just
Hawaii,
happened. I'm so sorry. My internet has been going wonky the last couple days.
It's okay. I was just shutting it down for me, saying that I usually do my streams beginning at 3:45, but because of Hawaii time, I'm doing 3:00. And I would love to come back sometime, and
I'd love to have you back.
Maybe we can set up a panel with you, me, and Mo and talk about some of these issues, and then do a regular true crime psychology stream. I think that would be
amazing.
Fun.
I would love that.
Okay. Well, guys, thank you so much for having me. And I thought it was so funny. Someone in the chat asked if my cat was here because my cat is freaking evil. She's oh my God. She was horrible yesterday. Her name is Coco Chamiao.
Oh, that's so cute.
Coco Chanel, but Coco Chamiao.
And
she is a Siamese and she is evil.
Aw. Well, if you were did you answer if you were on Discord at all?
Oh, yeah.
I sent you a link to my Discord because that would probably be
perfect.
the best way we can message each other.
Yeah. I'll join and then I'll send you one for mine.
Sounds great.
Okay, guys. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Jen, you can have her if you really want her. Okay.
Well, thank you again for joining me, and I look forward to next time.
Okay. Bye, guys.
Have
Thank you so much.
Bye. All right. You guys, thank you to Lacey at Criminally Confident. If you haven't subbed, please do so. I truly enjoyed my conversation with her. We didn't get into as much about this Konig trial as I would like to, at least in the future. She knows all the goods about this trial. For those of you that were with me last night during Psych Night, we decided to watch the closing statements of the Konig trial, and it got me very, very intrigued. So I thought today we would take a break from Karen Reed and put off Jen McCabe since Lacey joined me today. We are going to watch, I want to watch the husband's testimony. So this is what I brought up for today, because I knew she wasn't going to be able to stay on too long because she has her own stream going on for Verdict Watch. But for those of you who got interested like I did, hey KDD, I want to hear it. Being that I'm not going to watch a whole nother trial beginning to end right now, as we are in the middle of Karen Reed trial 2, but watching the closing statements got me intrigued. I watched some of the wife's testimony this morning with Mo. So I thought, why don't we watch some of the husband's testimony and see what we think about him. Bear with me since StreamYard went crazy on me. All my tabs closed because I had to close it all out to come back in. So bear with me while I pull up the husband's testimony.
Have a seat. Okay. If you could please state your full name for the record and for the members of the jury.
Gerhardt Konig.
Gerhard, how old are you?
Okay, Moni G.
47.
See you later, honey.
Where were you born?
Hope mom's
South Africa.
okay.
And were your parents from South Africa?
Yes.
What are their names, and are they still alive, and are they still married?
Yeah. Peter and Annabelle, they're alive and married.
Okay. And they've been here. Is that them here in the front row today?
That's them.
Where
I'm
did
going
they?
to be honest right from the start. This guy, this smirk that he's got going on already irritates me. He just seems, and I know this is first impression. That's another thing I want to go over. One of the nights we do Psych Night, first impressions versus last impressions, and how they cause bias and this and that. And I'm going to tell you right now, my bias is already based off this smug ass smirk he's got going on. He seems like a smug, arrogant son of a bitch. I'm going to be honest. But just a first impression. So let's see what he has to say.
They live now.
San Diego.
Growing up, what did your parents do for work?
My dad's a pharmacist. And in South Africa, my mom didn't work.
How long did you live in South Africa, or maybe a
Oh,
better way to
and his
ask that
dad's
is,
a pharmacist?
how old were you when you moved from South Africa?
Okay, right. I'm sorry. I'm going to pause this because I've got to try to learn to pause things as I talk so you can hear me. Right there. His dad is a pharmacist and he's a doctor. And again, as we talked about, Lacey and I talked about, that it would not surprise me for him to have syringes and half-empty bottles of whatever medication at home.
I was 14.
And where did you move to at that age?
San Diego.
Who moved with you to San Diego at that time?
My parents and my younger sister.
So what grade were you in when you moved to the United States?
9th grade.
Did your dad find work as a pharmacist?
Yes.
What did your mom do in San Diego?
She ran a home daycare.
Siblings?
Yes, 2 older brothers and a younger sister.
What year and what high school did you go to, and what year did you graduate?
I went to Rancho Bernardo High School, and I graduated in 1996.
By the way,
Oh,
was
God, we
growing up in
graduated
South
high
Africa,
school
was,
the
was
same
English
year.
your first language?
Yeah, we're the same. Well, I'm a year younger than him because I graduated a year early. But we are going to skip all this. Where did you go to school? Bullshit. Hold on.
Tech startup company. We were doing tissue engineering.
I don't care. I don't care.
So Ophelia and Emil were born before you started medical school?
Okay, about his kids. We all know he's married. He's a doctor.
Residency 2012 to 2016. Did you at some point?
Oh my God. Still talking.
We were about an hour apart, but so we spent 1 week at my house with the kids when we had the kids, and then we'd spend 1 week at her townhouse up
Okay.
north
And that was in Pittsburgh.
in Pittsburgh.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you were working in the job you just described to us.
Yes.
Careful driving, Shelley.
Now, after your first divorce, you had 2 kids. Did you want to have more kids with?
I did.
With
Yeah.
Ari?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I had
You
that.
know they do this to humanize them and to show that blah, 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 but
Had a much bigger impact.
Why wasn't it going to affect her career that much at that point?
So she was working. So before COVID, she was working 100% in-house, full time, and then during COVID, her job went remote, like most people's jobs did. And
I totally agree, Stephen. It's absolutely ridiculous. Okay, you know, to do the basics to humanize them. You know, what year did you graduate? Med school would be more appropriate than, oh, where did you go to 2nd grade and when did you graduate high school? What high school did you go to? Oh, when did you? Oh, for fuck's sake.
And then during COVID, we also had Olin, and she realized at that point that she didn't want to go back to working in person again.
Okay.
That she felt she could accomplish a lot more at home, working and just be much more efficient. And it also allowed her to just be home more with the kids and the family.
Was she still?
that was
she still in the nuclear industry when you guys decided to move?
No. So and then she actually quit her job a few months before we started talking seriously about moving.
Okay.
And she was applying to jobs at software companies and other industries and nuclear as well. And then we decided to move, and so this was all kind of happening at the same time.
Okay. And was she able to get this job? She talked about a TerraPower that allowed her to work virtually.
Yes, and so she was actually hired. I think, like as I was interviewing in Maui, she got hired at TerraPower. So she started her job at TerraPower while we were still in Pittsburgh.
Okay, but they were going to allow her to.
And then after the move, yes. So she got a fully remote job based out of Pittsburgh for this company that's based in Seattle. And then we moved to Maui, and then she kept working for the same company.
Okay. I want to ask you, Emil. So Ophelia is older than Emil?
Yeah.
Okay. So when you guys start thinking about moving, how old was Emil, and how did that factor into the timing of when you were going to move and if?
So Emil is actually the reason we moved when we did.
Okay,
So,
explain that.
Yeah. So Ari and I had talked for a while about moving out of Pittsburgh, and the trigger was going to be when Emil graduated high school.
You guys are waiting. You guys are going to wait till he graduated.
Yeah, because we didn't want to leave him, and we
then-
didn't want to ask his mom if we could take him.
So what happened?
He basically talked us into letting him ask his mom, and because he's like, if you guys are going to go somewhere sunny after high school, I want to go with you, and I want to go before high school is over because I want to move somewhere early.
I'm going to be honest. I don't really care. Let's get into it.
So when you first moved here, did Emil then finish high school on Maui?
Yes, this was right before we actually moved, and
Holy moly. 20 minutes of this bullshit already.
When that changed.
yes.
First of all, in 2024, at some point, well, let me ask you this preliminarily. Did Arielle have to travel for work?
She did, yeah.
Okay, and that's because she was working virtually?
Yeah, just like three or four times a year.
Okay. Did there come a time in 2024 when Arielle traveled to South Africa for work?
Yes.
Do you remember when that was roughly?
At the end of August of 2024.
And who was she going with, to your knowledge, at the time?
It was a pretty important trip for her because it was just the CEO of the company, another man that was high up in the company called Jeff Miller, and herself.
Okay. Now, I want to ask you this. By the way, when you guys were on Maui working, and she was working virtually, like where was she actually doing her work? Like when she was working?
Yeah, she had a home office set up, but it was
in her house.
In our house,
Okay.
but it was in our bedroom. So, and there was no divider or anything between it. So her desk was basically right next to our bed. So like a third of the space in the bedroom was taken up by her office.
And when what were her hours? Was she on Seattle time at she started?
Mostly West Coast time, sometimes East Coast time. So she would usually get up
Early.
either 4 or 5 a.m. and start work around there, and then work until around 2 p.m.
So were you because it was in your bedroom? Were you exposed a lot to
a lot
her work and her things she was doing and the
she
people?
has a huge monitor on her desk. She has one of those desks that can go up and down.
Okay.
And it's facing into the room, and all of her meetings are on speakerphone.
Okay. Prior to this, leading up to this South Africa trip, you mentioned did she go with a man named Jeff Miller?
Yes.
Did you have any concerns about Jeff Miller at that time?
No.
I know you mentioned no concerns, but was there anything weird on that trip, behavior-wise, that you took notice of? The South African trip?
Yeah, it was a really quick trip. It was just 2 nights. But the one weird thing was that on the second night, I remember noticing that she never contacted me at the end of the day, and that's kind of out of character. Whenever she went on work trips, she would always kind of check in at some point. And at the end of the day, even usually we would check in several times during the day as well, and just do text. We would text a lot.
Okay.
And the one night on that trip, she never reached out, and I was at work, and by the time I got home and realized that she never reached out, I knew she was asleep, and so I didn't reach out to her either. But normally she would reach out to me when she's done with her work day.
Did you see much of it at the time, or?
No, I took note of it, and I asked her about it, and she just said, like, I'm so sorry. We got back late from dinner with the hosts that were hosting us, and I'm sorry, I should have texted, but I didn't.
Now, she returns from South Africa. Later on in 2024, did you and your family go on a trip to Kauai?
We did, yeah.
When was that roughly?
In October. I think it was October. Yeah, we told Emil as a graduation present, we'll take him to one of the other islands that he hasn't been to yet for a little trip, and he picked Kauai.
He picked Kauai. Now, did anything happen on this Kauai trip that made you become concerned to a degree about Mr. Miller?
Yeah, a little bit. What
happened? Tell the jury what happened.
Yeah. So we were there. At the end of, I think from like Thursday to Monday or something like that. So it overlapped with her work week a little bit, and she was able to take most of the time off, but there was a few meetings that she still had to do that she couldn't. And so and they're early morning meetings because they were West Coast time, and I just overheard her talking to him on the phone and from the other room, and it just seemed that they had a very familiar tone. More so than what I was used to, the way that she used to talk to him and the way that she talked to her other work colleagues.
Now, you get back from Kauai after the trip, from October to December. Did you notice any other red flags or concerning behavior?
Yeah. So
what happened?
The biggest. But the only thing that I noticed was that she was constantly on her phone. She was just constantly on her phone.
Was that more so than usual?
Yeah, much more than usual. And she would hide the screen from me. So
what do you mean by that?
Like, if you're sitting next to somebody and they're on their phone, like you can just notice that they're sitting in a way. They're constant. They're always just like moving their.
What if you walked
into
a room when she was on?
Yeah, when I walked in the room, she would turn the screen off or turn her phone upside down.
Did you ask her about it?
I did several times,
And what-
and she would always say, I'm talking to Gianna. I'm talking to Gianna, which is her best
Who's
friend.
Gianna?
Gianna's her best friend.
Okay.
So
So you did ask her about it a couple of times,
yeah, more than a couple.
and you continue to see this concerning. Well, was this behavior concerning to you?
Yes.
And
I was just I was curious.
okay,
I was concerned. You're right.
and did she told you it was, don't worry, it was just Gianna.
Yeah, and she was like defensive about it.
Okay. Now,
This is how long
what did that
he
lead you to
describes
do in
that she had
early
an affair.
December?
Okay, we get it. In case you didn't know, his wife had an affair. So what? Oh my God.
All this
Yeah.
behavior, red flags.
No, when she kept doing it and she kept being defensive, I unlocked her phone
Okay.
and while she was sleeping.
Now,
Oh,
do you recall when you did this? There's been talk about a San Luis Obispo trip, right? Were you guys going to go on a trip in December?
Yes.
And with who?
With our friends Bryant and Gianna.
And so, what day of the week were you going to leave for the trip, if you recall?
So Ari and Gianna were going to be there on Wednesday.
Okay.
And Bryant and I were going to join them on Thursday.
So the
And then
girls were going first.
Yeah, and then we're all staying there until Sunday.
The girls were going to go spend a night together.
Yeah, so they had like a girls' day plan, and they wanted to just go for the first day. The trip was mostly for Gianna's birthday.
So that was going to be on a Wednesday. When did you look into her phone?
On Monday night.
Right before the trip, a couple days before the trip.
Yeah.
So tell the jury what you discovered.
So Monday night, when I looked at her phone, I went to the screen time application on the iPhone, and then I noticed that the app with the highest usage was an app called WhatsApp. And I was
What is
really,
WhatsApp?
WhatsApp is a communications app. So it has texting, it has voice calls and video calls. So instead of using your phone's built-in texting or voice or video, you go through WhatsApp.
Okay.
And it's separate from the phone.
So then when she saw that?
Yeah. So then
Well, first of all, I mean, was that surprising to
it
you?
was. I had not seen her on WhatsApp at all over the previous months, and so I was very surprised about that. And then I also saw that she had turned off all the notifications for WhatsApp, so she had everything silenced for
Okay.
WhatsApp. And it wasn't like on the main screen; it was like a couple pages over in a folder, so it was kind of hidden.
So did you open the WhatsApp?
Yeah, so I opened the WhatsApp,
What did you see?
and there were two conversations with Jeff Miller. And the way WhatsApp works is that your account is always linked to a phone number. And so the one conversation was a conversation with his work phone, and the other conversation was a conversation with his personal phone.
Okay. And so let's talk about the conversation with his personal phone. What tell the jury what you saw?
Yeah, it was. So what I saw. So this was Monday night. What I saw was that the messages from Monday and from Sunday, so the previous 2 days, it was like a full-on conversation the entire day long, and it would start
All day
off. Yeah, it would start off at like 2 a.m. Hawaii time. So and Jeff Miller lives in Maryland, and he travels extensively for work. Like he probably travels 3 out of every 4 weeks. And I know this because I'm always hearing them on the phone and talking about that. So basically, wherever he was, he'd be texting her good morning. But it wasn't just like a good morning text. It was like 5 or 6 texts. It's like a whole good morning. I had a great, I slept great. I'm looking forward to the day. Hope you're sleeping great. And then at like 5:45 a.m., her good morning.
She would be responding.
She would respond, and then the whole day long, like, this is where I am. This is what I'm doing. This is what I'm thinking. Until good night at the end of the day, and that was for Sunday and Monday.
Okay.
So for the 2 previous days.
So Sunday is a weekend, right?
Right.
Yeah. So you
Yeah,
saw on
so
a
it was-
Sunday. We saw the text from December
Yeah, she's
1st.
I'm at work. I'm on call for the weekend, and she's at home decorating and hanging out with the kids and
texting him all day.
text them all day.
Okay.
And then
go ahead.
when I scroll back past that, it's very strange because then between so the thread was created on June 4th or something like that, because WhatsApp puts when the thread was created in the app.
Okay.
And there was no messages between June 4th and August 30th, which was like a few days after the South Africa trip. And then between August 30th and Sunday, it was very strange because there's like fragments of conversation or little short things, and then mostly just pictures and songs and links. And it was basically Jeff sending her a bunch of pictures of himself, a bunch of song links that she had saved, and her sending him like a bunch of pictures too of
Did you when you said it was strange because there's things missing? Did it seem to you like things were being deleted?
Well, yeah, because obviously that was. I mean, there was an abrupt cutoff between like what what's before Sunday and Monday and that conversation and everything else that was on there.
Let me ask you this: seeing all of that, here you are, a couple of months now. You had some suspicion, some red flags. Asked her about it a couple of times. She denies it. Defensive. Now you open it up and you see this.
Yeah.
Tell the jury how you felt. How did it make you feel?
I was devastated. There's obviously something going on, and
okay. So
I didn't know what to do.
Okay. So what did you do?
So I had actually started using WhatsApp myself when we moved to Maui, because that's the main communication platform that the anesthesiology group uses, and so I was using it every day, communicating with the rest of the group and during our business meetings. And so I knew that WhatsApp, since even though it's primarily an app on your phone, there's a web interface. You can log into WhatsApp on your computer through the browser as well, and it'll basically just duplicate everything that's on your account.
And then what did you do the next?
So I took her phone upstairs to my computer, which is in the hallway upstairs, and I logged into her WhatsApp on my computer.
So you could watch her.
So I could
activity.
see, because yeah.
Wow.
You mentioned being
I'm
devastated.
sorry. What do you guys think about this? Do you think that's okay what he did? If you're married, like, I mean, it's been a long time. I've been divorced since 2006. But if you're married, do you show each other your phones? Do you go through your significant other's phone? Because I find it hard to believe that this is the first time and only time he's done this. If he's not only went through her phone, but is now signing in to her WhatsApp or whatever. I don't know how he got the password. I would love to know what you guys think about this. Because to me, it just seems, I don't know. To me, it just seems weird that it's one thing if you have suspicions. I don't know, maybe that's your go-to is to search through their phone or whatever, but to then monitor, why don't you just ask or confront your wife? Now you're going to monitor the shit? Like, I don't know. I'd love to know your opinions. Did I lose everybody? Nobody's chatting, so if anyone decides to tell me what they feel about that, I'd love to hear your thoughts.
I mean, prior to this, did you have any, aside from we talked about the red flags, but marriage-wise, I mean, everything seemed okay?
Everything seemed fabulous. We were we were very happy together. No red flags in terms of the marriage itself.
Okay. So now you want to learn more. You went to what do you call it, like detective mode kind of?
Yeah.
Okay. So now you logged on and you're able to watch her. And did you do so the next day?
Yes. Excuse me. Yes.
What did you tell the jury what you saw the next day?
So the next day, it was basically the same type of thing that they were doing on Sunday and Monday. So they start off by saying good morning, and then just wasn't communication the entire day. But this day, she started deleting messages, and so one of the first things that she did is she deleted all of the messages from Sunday and Monday.
Okay. So when you went, make sure you put the mic a little closer. So what you saw the messages the night before.
Yes.
And now you're looking at it on the.
Malin says, we have each other's passwords to everything, but we don't do this stuff. I never search through his stuff, and he doesn't mind. Like, that makes sense. I mean, especially if you're in a happy marriage or what you think is a happy marriage, sharing each other's passwords doesn't sound weird to me. But doing this shit does. When you are snooping around and not only searching out and looking in their phone, then going a step further and finding out their password and monitoring an account without their knowledge, like, to me, That's like, this isn't the first time he's done this. That's how I feel.
Computer next day, and those messages you saw the night before are deleted?
Yes.
Okay. And then what?
And then I saw them communicate kind of in real time, because I could see it pop up on my screen too. And as soon as the conversation proceeded, kind of past, she would kind of keep deleting the previous messages. So she was like, well, not deleting them in real time, but like throughout the day, she was deleting the previous messages.
And the content of the communication that was being deleted, again, was it concerning?
Yeah, I mean, it was the same type of conversation that she was having with him on the previous 2 days, which is not a conversation you have with a coworker. This is a conversation you have with your spouse. I mean, this is
and after watching that all day long, what did you conclude? I mean, in terms of what was going on,
I
did you believe?
I mean, she was having an affair.
Okay. Let me ask you this: while that was, did you because she was deleting these things, did you try to save some of the messages?
Yeah. So the first thing I did, actually, the night that I unlocked her phone, because on WhatsApp you can also export the thread basically and save the thread, and so I exported the thread to my phone, so I had copies of what was on there when I first discovered it. And then the next day on my computer, the only thing I could do on the web interface is take screenshots of the.
And you took some.
Yeah.
All right. So now you are faced with this. You got this trip in a day or two. Do you confront Arielle right away?
Not right away. So the way that this was happening was that our trip to San Luis Obispo, there's no direct flights from Maui to San Luis Obispo, and so we coordinated that the layovers were going to be in Phoenix, which is where Brian Gianna lives. And Ari was taking a red eye on Tuesday night. And so on Tuesday, when I was first discovering and watching this kind of in person for the first time,
let me stop you there, just to help the jury. So Monday night is when you first found the WhatsApp chain, right?
Right. So Monday overnight.
Tuesday
morning, I wake up and I start looking at them interacting in real time during the day.
And then Arielle's supposed to leave that night.
And so she's supposed to leave that night.
Do you confront her before she leaves?
I do not. Yeah.
And then so she leaves. Who do you first reach out to talk to him about this?
Yeah. So on Wednesday night, I'm supposed to leave to fly to Phoenix to meet Bryant and then go to San Luis Obispo. Okay. And Wednesday, like in the middle of the day, I call him and talk to him.
Okay. And why did you call Bryant? Talk to him about it.
Few different reasons. One was that we were, about to go on this trip with them, and I wasn't able to. Like, I knew I was going to have to confront her as soon as I got to San Luis Obispo. So now it's Wednesday, and I'm convinced of, I'm seeing what they're doing, especially what she was sharing with him on Wednesday. So on Wednesday, she was spending all day in San Luis Obispo with Gianna, and she's basically keeping him up to. I mean, first thing is, like, as soon as she lands in Phoenix in the morning, she's like, just landed. I have an hour and a half. If you're free, we can chat. Can't wait to talk to you.
Is she texting you, keeping you up to date?
Like, I'm getting. I also got a just landed text, but like nothing else, okay. and but she's like, reaching out to him, and on WhatsApp, like, you can see when a message has been read. And so as soon as she saw that he read her just landed text, she called him, like, right, she didn't wait for him to respond and stuff. And like, I'm not getting a call, I'm not getting any of this stuff. And then during the day, she's sending him pictures of the places that they're of her and Gianna doing stuff,
So you're seeing this.
So I'm seeing this, and that's at that point I'm just like, I can't go to San Luis Obispo and not confront her about this right away. Like,
and going back to Bryant, right? So I know, did you guys have like fun activities planned? It was supposed to be a fun couple trip.
So
that's what I thought, Maylan, but that's why I wanted to ask, because I'm not in a relationship. I've been single for several years now, perfectly happy single, and this shit, dude. Look at. Maylan calls me the pause queen for a reason, because look when I pause, look at his face. But I just wanted to ask so I could get some insight into people that are married. Do they do this kind of shit? Is this normal behavior? Because in my mind it's not, and especially the way he talks about it. He went into her phone, and then he went into his computer to monitor, and then he downloads the thread. He exports the entire thread. Like, seriously? Like, to me, this is just way off the chart.
I mean, it was supposed to be a couple's trip, right? And it was Gianna's birthday. And actually, Ari planned it because she used to work for, well, one of the power plants that she, that was her responsibility for refueling is just outside of San Luis Obispo. So she used to travel to San Luis Obispo all the time for work. And
Okay,
so
were you
planned like
were you
a bunch of fun
reaching out to
activities.
Brian? And you said there's several reasons. Was one of it to kind of let him know, like, hey, this might not be the fun trip we had
Yeah.
planned?
So the first reason was like, hey, like this is, I'm just giving you a heads up. Like I'm going to confront Ari with, basically an affair.
Was there other reasons why you wanted?
And then the other reason was that the other reason why he's my best friend and I wanted some advice, but I specifically wanted advice from him because they had just gone through infidelity in their relationship like 6 months earlier.
Brian and Gianna.
Brian and Gianna. And so
They were dealing with that.
yeah, so he had been dealing with this and I was looking for advice and just needed a
And
friend.
just to be
talk
clear for the jury, in that situation though, was it reversed?
It was, yeah. Brian had like a one night stand and Gianna found out about it.
So they had been dealing
kicked
with
him out of the
that.
house and stuff. Yeah.
Why are they
Yeah, so you
talking
talked
over
about
each other?
Yes.
This lawyer,
Um,
it's funny that Lacey brought up that this lawyer, somebody pointing out that that's the way they talk, but this lawyer isn't letting his. I mean, let's be honest. He's saying he just goes on and on. So I understand the lawyer to a point, maybe cutting him off now and then, but they're constantly talking over each other. It's fucking annoying.
Do you fly up on the trip?
Yes.
When you get there, do you confront Arielle right away?
Almost right away. I mean, like right when we get there, they already have dinner reservations and stuff like that waiting for us. And so we go to dinner, and right after dinner, when we go back to the hotel, is when I confront her.
Did you talk to Gianna before you confronted Arielle?
Very briefly.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you
And-
told her what you had found.
I basically just gave, I told her briefly what I found, and then left to go talk to Ari and left Brian to explain to her more.
So, where do you confront Ari? Were you in the hotel room?
In the hotel room.
You confront her with it. Tell the jury how that went and what Arielle's initial reaction was.
Yeah, I confront her with it, and she's immediately remorseful and doesn't deny anything, admits to it, and is crying and
Let me ask you this: you say admits to it, and when Miss Konig testified, she kept using the term you guys use the term emotional affair, but in that time period, what did she admit to? Having a
she admitted having an affair. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
With Jeff Miller.
Yeah, she admitted this was completely inappropriate relationship.
Okay. And so you
we
mentioned
called it an affair from the start.
And you mentioned she was remorseful and crying.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, here we are now in San Luis Obispo. This is going on. What was your emotional state like at the time? In other words, what were you thinking needed to happen? And like, you guys were going to try to work this out or not, or while you're on the trip?
Yeah, no, I mean, it was tough. I mean, a lot of emotions for sure, but Brian and John were really helpful. And we were away from the kids and away from work and away from everything else. So we can kind of just focus on this.
Okay.
And
you guys reached some kind of conclusion as to whether or not you guys were going to break up or what?
Oh, yeah. So we both wanted to work on it. We both.
He's been leading the whole time.
She basically said, like, I'm so sorry. I can't believe I did this.
And I'm going to be honest.
And I'll do anything.
There's a whole shitload of hearsay that he was stating in the beginning too. Like, but the prosecutor, who's like 12 years old, by the way, hasn't objected to a single thing.
It takes to heal our marriage, and you and our kids are more important than anything to me, and I'll do whatever it takes. And we start talking to Brian and Gianna, and they kind of help us talk about some things, and we figure out what the next steps are going to be.
Now, during the trip in San Luis Obispo, did the topic of her possibly moving out come up?
Yes.
And
that was one of the big conversations we had.
And did you guys settle in on, okay, she's not going to move out just right now, we're going to try?
Yeah, so I preferred for her to move out.
Do you mean like break up?
No, we were both committed to working on the marriage, but and this is what Brian and Gianna did too. So Brian ended up living in a hotel for like 3 months, and it helped them just focus on the affair and healing from the affair, and then they kind of moved back and kind of start working on everything else, and I felt that was an ideal solution.
Did she want to do that?
Well, both of us, we decided together not to do that, and because we had the two big complicating issues for us was one, our two little boys. So we, at the time they were like 1.5 and 4.
So at this time when she was having this relationship with Mr. Miller, how old were the boys?
1.5 and 4.
Okay. And you're saying obviously if she moved out, it would have been traumatic on them.
Yeah. So we didn't want.
Okay. So it's okay. You guys decide to not do that, and
Yeah, we didn't want them harmed.
Okay. So let me ask you this: in order for her to not move out, to avoid that harm. Sorry. May I approach you?
Thank you. Excuse me 1 second.
You want water?
Yes, please.
You mentioned the kids. Was there a did Ari have other concerns about her moving out?
Yeah, and the other concern, and again, this was a joint decision, is that we wanted to protect her reputation with family and friends, and so Bryant was able to move out, and really nobody else knew. It was just Ari and I actually that knew, and that was it.
So in other words, if Ari moved out on Maui, you talked about you guys had formed a pretty good close group of friends. Her parents.
We did, and everybody lived right there, and it's a small community, and people were going to know that she moved out and would ask why, and
so that was part of the joint decision.
Yes.
So you guys are up there, San Luis Obispo, decide that we're going to try. It's not going to move out. What about where there's some talk about if we're going to do that, at least initially, was there some talk about what was needed to happen as it related to Jeff Miller and her job?
Yes.
What was that? Tell the jury about that.
Yeah. So, I mean, she obviously needed to terminate the affair immediately, but also to terminate all contact with Jeff Miller. And that would involve her quitting her job and getting a new job.
Initially, what did she say? I mean, was that something she was agreeable to initially?
Absolutely. Okay. And so we decided that was the plan. And she said she just needed a little bit of time. And so she didn't want to quit her job right away, but that she would limit contact with him. And so she actually sent him an email through work, like a work email, and said basically, hi Jeff, from this point on, all of our communication needs to be in email only. If we do meet, because they would have virtual meetings all the time. If we do meet, it would have to be with one other person present. And she did this without talking to me, but showed it to me afterwards. Hey, this is what I did. Is that okay? And I said, that's fine.
So the plan was that she was going to quit her job and maybe find a new job. But in the meanwhile,
for sure, she was going to quit her job and find a new job.
Okay.
But in the meanwhile,
there was going to be some boundaries related to her interactions with Miller.
Yes.
Okay. Was she supposed to go on another work trip with Jeff Miller soon after the San Luis Obispo trip?
Yes.
To where and when?
So the San Luis Obispo trip ended on Sunday, and on Sunday I was going to fly back to Maui to take care of the kids, and she was flying to Seattle, and she had a week-long business trip in Seattle starting right after this.
Oh, right
trip.
after? Mm-hmm. She's going to go straight? And Mr. Miller was supposed to be there?
Yes.
Did you later learn anything about the hotel situation related to that?
Not even later. It was. I mean, so while we were in San Luis Obispo and while we're still talking about all these things, she, I told her basically, like, I'm not okay with you going to Seattle. She said, no, I totally understand. And she said, I'm going to cancel that trip. And she admitted that she had changed her hotel from the hotel that she was supposed to stay in with her primary team that she works with at TerraPower to the hotel that Jeff Miller was in, and they already had dinner plans for Sunday night.
Okay. And then she canceled that trip.
But she canceled all of that. So she told work she had a family emergency and couldn't go, and so we flew back together to Maui on Sunday.
You get back to Maui.
Okay. So apparently I just looked. I wish I would have looked at this sooner. His testimony is 5 fucking hours. I am not sitting here for the next 5 hours listening to this bullshit. So, I'm sorry. I already don't like this guy. I know that's kind of shitty to say, but I just don't. And I have no desire to watch this shit. I am going to enjoy watching Lacey do the breakdown. So that's what I am going to do later on. So we are going to get back into the Karen Reed. We have Jen McCabe. So, in case anyone was here and then left, because we're not doing Karen Reed today, maybe let's get us getting back into Karen Reed. I can't. I can't listen to this. He's already pissing me off. So, but I am interested in hearing what the facts are. So, if any of you are truly interested, go to Lacey's channel, which is Criminally Competent. She breaks it down, and that is what I'm going to do on my own time. So, we are going to get back into Karen Reed. Oops. Try the channel.
So it's now time for the opening statement.
And we left off after we finished Ian Whippin's testimony. So we are going to get back into it with Jen McCabe.
Face out quick, raise your right hand. Please only the evidence to give the court in case everyone should truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Thank you.
Good afternoon. All right, Mr. Flynn, whenever you're ready, Mr. Flynn, I'd ask that you pull the microphone closer. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Go right ahead.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Could you please introduce yourself to the jury?
Hi, I'm Jennifer McCabe, MCCABE.
Ms. McCabe, how old are you?
I'm 49 years old.
Are you married?
Yes, I am married with 4 daughters.
Without detailing your children's names, can you tell us a little bit about your family?
Sure. I have 4 daughters that are 16, 17, 19, and 21. 2 are in high school and 2 are in college.
In raising your children, was your family active in local sports?
Yes, all 4 of my daughters played multiple sports from when they were young. 2 now are playing in college. My husband and I both coached them. My husband coached them from when they were young up through 8th grade in soccer, and I coached them in basketball.
Without telling me your address, what town are you from?
I'm from Canton.
How long have you lived in Canton with your family for?
I was born and raised in Canton, and now I'm raising my family there.
So your family, their whole life, you've raised them in Canton?
1 year we lived in Stoughton with my daughter.
Who do you live with now?
I live with my husband and my 4 daughters.
Can you briefly give me a little bit more background on your children's school and your participation in that and interaction with your children, raising them?
Yeah, so I was a teacher, and then once I had children, I stayed at home with them and basically was just kind of like your typical, I don't know, small town mom. I was the room parent. I coached them.
I'll allow it. When we
Yes.
When I coached, I drove the kids back and forth on my team, would take them places, etc.
In the growth of your family and raising your children, at some point did you meet a gentleman by the name of John O'Keefe?
Yes.
Share with us meeting John O'Keefe.
Sure. When my 3rd daughter was in kindergarten, she became friends with John's niece. And during that kindergarten school year, unfortunately, Kaylee's mother and father both passed away, and John moved in the house and became Mr. Mom.
When John took over guardianship of the children, did you assist in an active role in helping him?
Yes. Kaylee and my daughter were very close. So she would come over and play. My daughter would go over there. Kaylee would come and have sleepovers. A lot of times it would be on Friday nights. I would have Kaylee, and then another individual would have Patrick.
Had you known John O'Keefe well before he took over guardianship
like
of the children?
daughter, Allie.
No.
During the time when he was the guardian of the children, did you have a relationship, not just with his niece and nephew, but with him grow any closer?
Yes, we became very good friends.
How close of friends did you become over the years?
Well, throughout the years, obviously, when they were younger, we talked more, just about the logistics of CCD, pickup, drop off, basketball, sports. But then he would also call me, about, as the girls got older, the girl drama or, the hormones and things like that. He would also come over, and hang out and have a beer and, just talk about whatever was new in his life or going on, or, just the day in and day out struggles of his, life and raising the kids now and figuring it all out with, work and family and all that.
Leading into January 28th of 2022, so the jury understands, how close is your friendship with John O'Keefe at that time?
He was a very good friend of mine that I knew I could call for anything.
I want you to take us forward to January 28th, 2022. Do you remember that day?
Yes, I do.
Do you remember it well?
Yes.
Take us to the early morning hours, January 28th, 2022. Did you learn there may be weather or a storm coming?
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that.
We all saw the report that there was going to be a big storm, a nor'easter. So we all knew that basically all the Saturday activities were going to be canceled.
That includes sports?
Yes.
Was and is the sporting events of the children a big part of your life?
Yes. Back then I had, 2 in high school that played 3 sports, and they played club sports as well. And then the 2 middle school played club sports and town sports. So most of our weekends were taken up by kind of running from one sporting event to the next.
When you learned about the weather and the change in schedule, did it change your plans for that day?
No, not particularly. I had my day was pretty set out. I had my niece, and then I had sporting events. It was kind of my plans for the next day that obviously got changed.
Take us through the afternoon of the 28th. What's happening?
Well, I had my niece for the week, and she was picked up. My oldest was on the hockey team, and she was having a team dinner at the house. So I picked up pizza, got desserts, set it up for them. And then I left with my daughters and my husband, Matt, and we met some of the parents from the high school basketball team at a local pub to grab a bite and a drink before the basketball game, because my other daughter played on the high school girls basketball team.
What time was the basketball game set for that night?
I believe it was 6 or 6:30.
Did you and your family go to the game?
Yes, we did.
After the game, what happened?
After the game, I drove my daughter home. My sister, Nicole, sent me a text and said that she was going to be at the waterfall, and it was my nephew's birthday. He was going to meet up, and did I want to come by for a drink?
What is your nephew's name?
Brian Jr.
It was his birthday that night?
Yes, it was.
When you received a call to meet with friends and family at the waterfall, do you remember what time that plan was made?
I don't. My sister sent me a text at some point letting me know she was going to be there, so I don't know what time.
After the game and after some time, did you go to the waterfall to meet your friends and family?
Yes, I did.
Describe very briefly, what's the waterfall?
It's just a local town bar.
Do you remember about what time you got to the waterfall?
About 9 o'clock.
When you got there, was there anybody there that you knew?
Yes.
Okay, now take us inside the waterfall. When you get there, who do you see?
I walk in and I see Julie and Chris Albert, my niece Caitlin, my sister Nicole, and my niece's boyfriend Tristan.
You said you saw Julie and Nicole Albert in the waterfall?
Yes.
Were you related to either of them?
Nicole is my sister.
So Brian Sr. would be your brother-in-law?
Yes.
Also, you mentioned there was a niece?
Yes, Caitlin.
And is that Brian and Nicole's daughter?
Yes.
You mentioned the name Tristan. What's his relationship to Brian Albert's niece?
He's now her fiance.
And was there anybody else I missed?
That's all who was there. I'm not sure if Nick Kolakidis was already in there when I got there, or if he arrived right after. And then his wife joined us.
So when you're in the bar and you see your friends, what do you do next?
I immediately just, join them and sit down.
Were you eating, drinking?
I know I ordered a beer. They had appetizers on the table. I'm not sure whether I had any or not.
Were you drinking alcohol that night?
Yes.
As you're spending time with your family, did the night grow?
Yes.
Did you stay at the table where everybody was eating, or did you move inside the bar?
We were pretty much right around the table.
Did anybody you knew join you or join the group at some point?
Yes. A little while later, Brian Albert and Brian Higgins joined us at the waterfall.
So when you first got there, was Brian Albert already there?
No, he wasn't.
Is that your brother-in-law, Brian Albert?
Yes.
And you said Mr. Higgins. Did you know Mr. Higgins?
I had met him a few times when he was out with Brian.
You had met him a few times before that night?
Yes.
Were you friendly with him?
He was a friend of Brian's.
Was he your friend?
No, he was Brian's friend.
You knew who he was?
Yes.
So when Mr. Albert and Mr. Higgins joined the group later, did they come directly to you, or did they stay somewhere else inside the bar?
No, they came over to our table, I believe.
How long were you in the waterfall for that night?
Approximately 9 to little around midnight-ish.
About 3 hours?
Yes.
Do you have an estimate how many drinks you had, alcoholic drinks you might have had?
I don't. I don't know, maybe 2, 3.
Throughout the night, were you feeling any effects of the alcohol?
Not that I recall, no.
When the group was together, you mentioned a number of people have joined. Were you joined by other people later?
Yes.
Who were you joined by later?
John O'Keefe and Karen Reed.
And you talked about your relationship with John O'Keefe?
Yes, earlier, yes.
Did you make plans with him, or did he just show up?
I believe he had started the conversation about the night with Chris Albert.
Chris Albert is a different Albert than Brian Albert?
Yes.
How was the relationship between them?
Brian Albert and Chris Albert are brothers.
Was Chris Albert there when Mr. Higgins and Brian Albert arrived?
Yes. Actually, Chris, did I miss him? Because Chris was there with Julie. Did I? I'm not sure if I said that when I was naming everyone at the table. I apologize.
You may have.
Okay.
So when you first got there, he was at the table with your
Yes.
sister?
Yes, he was.
When moments before John O'Keefe arrived with the defendant, what was the mood in the group?
Cheerful. Good mood. Everybody was just out having a drink. We all knew the storm was coming tomorrow, and just a typical average night.
Celebratory?
Yeah.
You said you were going to see Brian Albert Jr. for
Yes.
his birthday. Was Brian Albert Jr. at the waterfall when you got there?
No, he was not.
Was Brian Albert Jr. there anytime when you were at the waterfall?
No, he was not.
Without relating a conversation with some other person, did you have an understanding where Brian Albert Jr. was?
He was at home.
Did you historically or typically see Brian Albert Jr., your nephew, on his birthday?
Yeah, typically we always, get together. We try to and do a cake for whoever's birthday it is. And then whatever, aunts or cousins are around, come over.
When John O'Keefe arrived at the waterfall with the defendant, do you have a general estimate or guess, not guess, but a general estimate of what time they arrived?
Approximately 11.
When they first arrived, did you see them?
Yes.
Where did you see them coming from?
I saw them walk in.
When they walked in, did you react in any way?
Yes, I was happy to see them
Why were you happy to see them?
because I loved John and I liked Karen.
So you were happy to see John?
Yes, very.
And you were happy to see the defendant?
Yes.
Do you remember your first interaction with either John or the defendant that night inside the waterfall?
I believe John walked over to where I was, kind of to my end of the table, and then maybe Karen had walked to the other end of the table. But I would assume I probably hugged both of them when I saw them.
I'm going to ask you not to assume if you don't know. That's okay. You said that you had known the defendant as well.
Yes.
Do you remember how long she had been dating John O'Keefe up until that point?
I know I met her in July of 2020.
Had you had a chance to spend time or interact with her over that time before that night at the waterfall?
Yes, I had.
And share with us some of the moments or some of the reasons that you would interact.
The first time I met Karen, John had reached out. We would do pool days with him and his niece and his nephew. So he had told me he was dating a new girl and he wanted to bring her over. He said that she had multiple sclerosis. I also have multiple sclerosis. So he thought that would be something we could, we would talk and bond over. I said, yeah, great, bring her over. So her and John and Kaylee and Patrick came over. We had a pool day. I liked Miss Reed immediately. I thought we hit it off. It was really great, talking to someone my age that also had MS, because I didn't really know a lot of people who have it. So it was really nice to have somebody to relate to. Then moving forward, we would see them, if it was my daughter's birthday party, when it was time for pickup, they would come in, have a couple drinks. Same thing for like a Halloween party, after basketball games.
So you spent time both with John and Miss Reed?
Yes.
Did you spend time with the defendant separately without John around?
No.
Did you become friendly with her?
Yes.
And were you friendly that night?
Yes.
After John and the defendant entered the bar and you agreed, did you interact or spend time with Miss Reed at the waterfall?
Yes, I did.
And speaking of the defendant, do you recognize her here in the courtroom?
Hey, Maylin.
Yes, I do.
Could you kindly point to her?
Maylin, can you do me a quick favor? Can you share in Discord that we are back on Jen McCabe's testimony, just because I didn't put it in my description or obviously make my thumbnail, because I didn't know how long Lacey was going to be with me today when I made the thumbnail. I didn't know if we would get into Karen Reed today or not. Just in case people are interested in watching Jen McCabe's testimony, and want to be here. Thanks. If you're still here, Maylin. I guess I'm just assuming. I did see your last message that said you were stretching. So if you're still here, if you can do that, I would appreciate it. Thank you.
Her and describe an article of clothing she's wearing.
She's sitting right over there with a black shirt or blue.
Is she between Attorney Jackson and Attorney Yannetti?
Yes, she is.
When you were at the waterfall that night, do you remember who you were speaking to or where you were spending your time?
As to earlier in the night or after?
I'm sorry, after Mr. O'Keefe and the defense.
I see you're here, Maylin. Did you hear what I asked? Because like I said, I don't have the description. People normally come when they want to see the testimony from the Karen Reed that we've been going over. They might not have known that we would transition into this. Already done. Look at you, Superwoman. Thank you.
And arrived.
Yes, Miss Reed came over and spoke to me because I had seen her the Saturday before, and she had told me how she had started a new medication, and it was giving her some awful side effects. And I said, I'm shocked they put you on that.
Oh, thanks, Maylin. I appreciate it. You put in Red House Media too. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Etc.
Let me not ask you about conversations you had, but about the moment that you were in. Did you spend time with Miss Reed that night?
Yes, I did.
Inevitably, did you drink more alcohol as the night went on?
I believe I had, like I said earlier, a couple of drinks, 2, 3, not sure.
Did you ever have a shot of alcohol?
I do not believe I had the shot, no.
Did you see the party, the group of friends and family doing a shot?
I was in the bathroom and walked out, and they were doing or had just done a shot.
With the court's permission, I'd like to display parts of Exhibit 22, which has already been introduced into evidence, which is video surveillance footage from the waterfall.
Okay.
I'd like to start at 10:54:20, please. If you could just stop for 1 second. Do you recognize what's in that video?
Yes.
And what is that?
That is the waterfall.
Okay, kindly proceed. If you could stop. Do you see the two people entering from the left?
I do.
Do you know who they are?
I believe that is Miss Reed and John O'Keefe.
Ms. Gilman, is there any way to enlarge the top of the video where the other people are closer to the table or bar? No. Okay. Looking at this video, can you tell or identify anybody under that timestamp? And if you can't, that's okay. But if you can you tell us who you see?
I think the guy right there, well, where she just is Brian Higgins.
Okay. If you could go up a little bit, Ms. Gilman.
I believe that's my husband, Matt. And then
right?
On the right, and I think that's me on the left.
Okay. And if you can go down the table to the left, Ms. Gilman, you recognize who that might be from the clothing?
I'd have to take a guess that
Okay, don't guess. It's okay if you don't. Anybody else at the table more to the left, do you recognize?
Not from this picture.
Ms. Gilman, could you highlight where Ms. McCabe thinks that she is on that video with that circle you just had and play the video? If you could stop. Is that you clapping, Ms. McCabe?
Yes, it is.
Why are you clapping?
Because I was happy to see them.
Both of them?
Yes.
Okay. Could you continue, please? And who's that person walking right to left hugging people?
That is John O'Keefe.
Can you continue, please, Ms. Gilman? Are you interacting with anybody?
I can't see where I am.
Okay. If you could stop the video, please. Could you move ahead to 11:26:50, please?
11:26.
11:26:50. Is that your group still at the waterfall?
Yes, it is.
If If you could stop there, Ms. Gilman. If we could hone in or circle where you were previously, where we saw Ms. McCabe. I know it's a bit blurry. If you can, and if you can, please let me know. Can you see whether you're in that area?
I believe I am, yes.
Could you put the circle down just a little bit, Ms. Gilman? Okay. If you could play from 11:26:50 to 11:27, please. We're a little bit ahead right now. Who are you hugging there?
I believe that's Miss Reed.
Thank you. One more, Ms. Gilman. I'm going to ask you to move forward to 11:46.
Scott.
Could you pause, Ms. Gilman? Could you circle in that same area where Ms. McCabe was last describing? Can you make anything out in this video?
Yes, it looks like they're all, toasting or doing a cheer before they do a shot.
Can you see whether or not the defendant's in that part of the video?
Yes, it looks like she is in front of the man in the plaid coat.
Were you participating with the drinking at this moment?
I don't see myself in the video. I don't believe I was.
But you were drinking separately that night, weren't you?
Yes, I was drinking beer.
If you can continue, please. Thank you. Shortly after the shot, was there conversation about leaving the waterfall as a group?
Yes, there was.
Was there any discussion about where the group should go?
At first, Miss Reed was asking if we could go up the street to D&E.
What's D&E?
D&E is a sub shop that's owned by Chris Albert.
Was it open that late at night?
No, it wasn't.
Had you in the past gone to that pizza shop after hours to eat?
Yes, we had.
And to tell us what the defendant was saying?
She just kept asking, can we go up to D&E? Can we go up to D&E? She wanted just to go up and, Chris makes food and then we were going to she wanted us all just to go up there and eat and hang out.
That wasn't an uncommon occurrence for the group to sometimes go to that pizza shop after hours, was it?
No.
Did the group decide to go to the pizza shop?
They decided they weren't going to go.
Okay. Was there a different plan made?
Before Brian Albert left, he said to the group, hey, we're going to go back home and have a beer with Brian Jr. If anyone wants to come by.
When you received the invitation to the group to go back to Brian Albert's house, did you decide whether you're going to go home or go back to your sister's house?
Yes, I decided I was going to go to my sister's house.
Without saying what was said, was there any discussion in the group among the participants about going back to your sister and Brian Albert's house?
Everybody seemed to want to go back.
Did anybody object to going back?
No.
Had you been to your sister's house before?
Yes.
Many times?
Yes.
Do you know the address of where your sister lived?
Yes.
And so after that conversation, did you stay at the waterfall for a little bit or did you leave immediately?
Probably left after maybe 5-10 minutes.
Without saying what was said, before you left, did you have a chance to speak to John O'Keefe?
I did, yes.
You spoke to him inside the waterfall?
Yes.
Did you have a chance to speak to the defendant?
Yes.
And was your plan to go back to your sister's house?
Yes.
Before you left, did you have any understanding whether or not Mr. O'Keefe and the defendant were going to join you?
Yes. Did you have another understanding regarding that?
Yes.
And what was your understanding?
They were coming.
Who else was going to go back to your nephew and your sister's house?
Brian Higgins and my niece, Caitlin.
A little after 12, did you leave the waterfall?
Yes.
Do you remember that night leaving?
Yes.
Before you left, did you talk to anybody in particular?
Yes. Miss Reed and then Mr. O'Keefe.
Did you speak to them inside the waterfall?
I walked out with Miss Reed and we spoke at the doorway and then John joined us.
Did you invite Miss Reed to come with you?
I did, yes.
Did she decline?
Yes.
And who did you go to your sister's house with? Who drove?
I drove and I went with my husband, Matt.
Anybody else?
No.
Do you remember about what time it was that you were speaking to Miss Reed about going to your sister's house?
After midnight.
If I could have Exhibit 22 again. Ms. Gilman, if you could take us to 12:10:36. Okay, if you could stop it there, please. Did you have a chance to talk to Mr. O'Keefe and the defendant outside of the waterfall?
Yes,
And do you know specifically what time you left the waterfall?
it was after midnight.
When you left the waterfall with your husband, you said you were driving. Did you stop anywhere along the way before you got to your sister's house?
No.
Tell us what you see when you get to your sister's house. What are the weather conditions like as you're driving there?
It's starting to snow to the point where it's starting to like accumulate. It's on your car. It's just, getting on the street.
Is it light? Is it heavy?
It's light at this point.
How long does it take to get from the waterfall to your sister's house?
5 to 8 minutes, depending on lights and weather, etc.
When you first get to your sister's house, while you're still in the car, describe what you see.
My wipers are on. I'm just looking out the window and it's snowing. It's dark.
Anybody in the driveway? Any cars in the driveway that you see?
Oh, when I pull up to my sister's?
Yeah.
As I pull down the street, I take a left into the driveway and there is a Jeep that's parked on the street. And there's maybe a couple of cars in my sister's driveway.
What do you do when you arrive at your sister's house?
I go in the house.
Now, there are a couple doors at your sister's house?
Yes.
Is there a front door?
Yes.
Is there a side door?
Yes.
Which one's closer to the driveway?
The side door.
Which door do you go in when you get to your sister's house?
The front door.
Was anybody with you when you went in?
My husband, Matt.
You walked in together?
Yes.
Tell us the first person you remember meeting.
When I went in the house?
Yes.
Probably my niece was at the table, and then I saw my nephew, Brian.
Was there anybody else you saw at the table?
Julie Nagel and Sarah Levinson.
So when you walk in the front door of the house, is it what table? Is it a living room table, a kitchen table?
Oh, you walk in and then you go to the right and it's into the kitchen and there's a table there.
Is the kitchen separate from the living room or is it open?
It's open, but they're separate.
Can you see the kitchen table when you walk in the door if you turn and look right?
Yes.
And when you go into the kitchen, you said there was a woman by the name of Julie Nagel?
Yes.
And then another woman, Sarah?
Yes.
You know her last name?
Levinson.
Okay. Julie Nagel, did you know her when you walked in the house that night?
I had met her a few times.
Have you spent time with her? Were you friends with her?
No, I just had met her a few times, and she had watched my dog for me when my nephew couldn't.
When you would go away, would your nephew be responsible to watch your dog?
Yes.
Did you understand that Julie Nagel had watched your dog a couple of times?
Yes.
Had you ever socialized with her before that night?
No, I may have seen her at a graduation party, but never beyond that.
Were you friends with her at that point?
No.
Friendly enough that she watched your dogs?
Yes, through my nephew. He just said my friend's going to do it, and I trusted his judgment.
And there was another woman by the name of Sarah. Did you know her before you saw her that night?
I knew of her. If I were to see her, I'd say hi, but that's the extent of it.
How did you know of her?
Just from being in the town, going to different sporting activities and just being around.
You said your nephew Brian was there as well in the kitchen?
Yes.
This was his birthday?
Yes.
How old was he?
I think he was turning 23.
Was there anybody else in the house when you and your husband first got there?
Yes, my sister and Brian Albert and Brian Higgins.
So Mr. Higgins, Brian Albert, and your sister were there before you?
Yes.
Where was everybody when you first came in?
My niece, Caitlin, Sarah Levinson, Julie Nagel, and Brian Jr. were all at the kitchen table. My sister was over, I think, cleaning the counters, and Brian were off in that TV room that you can see from the kitchen because there's a wide opening.
If you walk in the front door, would I look left or right to see the TV room?
You'd look right to the kitchen, and then through the kitchen's the TV room, but you could look, and when you walk in, you can see because it's open.
Is the TV room in any way have a relationship with that side door?
Yes, it does.
If you were to walk in the side door, would you be walking into the TV room?
Yes.
When you saw your nephew Brian Jr. and his friends, are his friends about the same age as him?
Yes.
Were they drinking?
Yes.
Was there music?
Yes.
And when you went in, did you spend time with the group?
Yes, I sat right down and started talking to them.
And when you were speaking to them, did you have any drinks that night?
I believe they brought me over a White Claw, but I didn't have more than a sip of it. I was at that point where I just didn't want another drink.
As you were in the kitchen, were you expecting anybody else?
Barbara?
We had mentioned it to Karen and John, and I had actually just spoken to John, so I was expecting them. So
when you saw John O'Keefe in the waterfall, that wasn't the last time you spoke to him?
No.
You had spoken to him, was it on the ride to your nieces? To your sisters?
Yes.
Did you call him or did he call you?
He texted me and I believe asked something like, where to? And since I was driving, I called him.
When you called him, what did you tell him? What did you guys say?
I just said they live 34 Fairview Road off of Chapman.
Do you know if John O'Keefe had ever been to the Albert home before?
I don't believe he had.
In that conversation, how long did that conversation take?
It was quick.
Was there any other conversation that you had with him other than that one conversation?
Yes, he called me back and he was trying to find it.
Trying to find the address?
Try to find the house on Fairview.
Did he ask you for help trying to find the address?
I'm not sure his exact words, but yes, he needed help. And so I just said, I told him, just go down the street, go by Bella's house. It's at the bottom of the street.
So you used Bella's house as a point of designation to try to guide him to get to your sister's house?
Yes.
Tell us who Bella was to John.
Bella is my daughter and John's niece friend. So Bella is friends with my daughter, John's niece.
Okay. And was there any relationship between Bella's mother and John that you knew of?
Oh my God.
Thank you. Mayor?
Yes.
That second phone conversation you had with John,
Really,
do you know about what time that was?
I'm truly amazed at what I didn't realize in watching Trial 2, knowing everything I know now. Like all this stuff they get into, I mean, just even Bella's mom. When I listen to this, I'm trying to think back to when I was listening to it the first time, not knowing anything about this trial, thinking, what did I miss? Who's Bella's mom? What? I don't know why they bring this shit up for a jury that knows nothing about this. And in Trial 2, if I am remembering correctly, they don't even bring the Aruba trip really up, if at all. They obviously don't have the witnesses, the women, testify in Trial 2 as they did in Trial 1. So why even talk like this? Like, why even bring that up, Spanky? Seriously? So stupid. I know, right, Malin? Jeez. I also just made note of Jen McCabe's description of that wide opening, because I also made note of it in listening to Trial 1 when Allie McCabe talks about it and where they were all positioned in the kitchen area or whatever. I find it funny that they all have to mention how Nicole Albert was cleaning and doing mom things or whatever it is she said. And the way they describe that opening, and then when you see the picture of that open doorway, how easily it is someone could pass by it. It's the same manipulation that Lally was using in Trial 1 with that fucking picture of the snow and making the yard look way bigger than it is. All these witnesses are rehearsed into making sure they mention that opening being so big and wide, yet it's not.
It would be after 12:15, but before 12:30, approximately, between that.
Were you still driving when you had that conversation?
Yes.
And at some point you told us you arrived at your sister's home and went in?
Yes.
I'd like to move forward now to when you were inside the house. Tell us generally when you first got there and saw everybody, what were you doing?
I just sat down at the table. I started talking to them. We were listening to music. A typical night.
Okay. Anything stand out as far as music or interaction with the group?
No, we were just laughing, telling stories. At one point, I'm not sure if it was at some point, my other nephew had been over my house and had shown me this video on his phone, and it was a family inside joke. The video was a music video from a long time ago. And so I was telling my other niece and nephew, oh my gosh, you have to see this video. It's hysterical. And then we started playing it and watching it.
What was the video?
It's Raining Men.
Did that get a lot of playtime during that get together?
Well, I have one sister
get that
who
song.
sometimes has a little too much to drink, takes
I
out an
think it's-
umbrella,
yeah,
and
it's
will
not getting,
dance. So it's a family joke.
copyrighted.
While you were at your sister's house, what area of the house were you spending time in?
Yeah, I was in the kitchen.
What was the mood of everybody in the house, as far as you remember?
Everybody was in a great mood.
Was there any fighting?
No,
Any arguing?
no,
Any violence?
no.
Was it a celebratory mood?
Yes.
As you were in the house, were you waiting for anybody else that you expected to come?
Yes, I was expecting John and Karen to come.
At some point when you're in the kitchen, or let me ask you a little background. As you're in the kitchen of that house, can you see outside from the kitchen area?
They had blinds or something down, but if the blinds were up, you could see out.
Were the blinds up?
No.
At any point, were you able to see outside from inside the house?
From the front door, yes.
Does the front door, is it glass?
Yes.
At some point when you were with everybody in the celebration, did you have a chance to look outside?
Yes.
And when you looked outside, what did you see?
I saw a dark SUV out front.
Did you know whose SUV that was?
I believed it was Karen's.
Could you see who was in it?
No.
At that point of night, what does the weather look like from the front door?
It's dark and it's snowing, and I could see, brake lights.
Did you see if that SUV moved at all?
I didn't see the SUV actually move, but I saw it in a few different locations.
How many times did you look out?
Can't give you an exact number of how many times I looked out. I can tell you I saw the vehicle first straight out from the front door. Then I saw it up at the flagpole, and then I saw it further up from the flagpole.
Were you studying the car at all?
No, it was quick glances.
Did you have any reason to study it?
No.
What were you expecting was going to happen?
I was expecting John and Karen to come into the house.
Did they ever make it in the house?
No, they did not.
As you were waiting, were you doing anything else in addition to waiting for them to come in?
Yes, so I was sitting at the table. Someone made mention of a car out front, so I got up, went to the door, looked out, and then I would go back to the table, and where we were just all laughing, talking, playing music, just hanging out, not really thinking much about anything.
Did you ever reach out to John when you thought the car out front was the defendant's car with John in it? Did you ever reach out to him?
Yes, I did.
How did you reach out to him?
I texted him.
Do you know if there was a phone call that was made to you before 12:30? A 7-second phone call?
From John?
Yes.
I don't.
You mentioned you had spoken to him about directions. Is that the last time you heard his voice?
Yes.
When the car was out front, did you exchange text messages, or were you simply texting him?
I was texting him.
Do you remember what you were texting him?
The first time I said here.
What do you mean by here? Was that
Like
exclamation point?
here, question mark, because that's when I saw the car.
You were wondering whether that was him?
Yes.
Did you send any other text messages that you can remember?
After I saw the car move locations, when I saw it go up to the flagpole, I said, pull behind me.
And do you remember any other communications you had with him? Was he texting you anything?
No,
Did he ever text you again that night?
he never texted me again.
Never called again?
No,
Did you continue to text him over the next 15, 20 minutes?
I did, yes.
And so at some point, did you realize that John O'Keefe and the defendant weren't coming in the house?
Yes, when the car was gone.
Did you ever go outside through the storm down to the flagpole to speak to them?
No.
Why not?
Why would I?
I was just asking.
Why would
I had no reason to.
So when you were in the house, at some point, did you notice that the car was gone?
Yes.
Were you marking the time or keeping track of it?
No.
After you didn't see the defendant's car anymore, did you stay?
Yes.
How long do you think you stayed for at the house?
I stayed till about around 1:30, 1:45-ish.
Did anybody else come in the house up until 1:45?
No.
Did people leave at certain times?
Yes, people did leave.
Who was the first to leave?
Brian Higgins.
Do you remember about what time he left?
I don't.
And after Mr. Higgins left, do you know who left?
I'm not sure. I believe it was us, and then my niece Caitlin was also like at the door. It was kind of in a row. Brian left, and then a little bit later, I think it was myself, Matt, Julie, and Sarah left. But Caitlin was at the door. I believe she was waiting for her ride.
How much longer after Mr. Higgins left did you leave?
Maybe half. I honestly can't say. I think he was there for a while I was there. So maybe he left anywhere from 15 minutes, approximately 15, 20 minutes before I did, or maybe a little more.
You mentioned that you had left the waterfall after midnight.
Yes.
And you had phone calls with Mr. O'Keefe along the way.
Yes.
Do you know that there are phone records with your text messages and phone calls in them?
Yes.
And do you know whether your phone records reflect the time of your calls with Mr. O'Keefe
Yes.
and your text messages?
Yes.
When you were texting Mr. O'Keefe, when the Lexus or the car was in front of the house, rather, was Mr. Higgins still there?
Yes.
What are some of the things that everybody did along that night before you left? What happened in there?
What happened inside the house?
Yeah.
Nothing. We basically just sat around the table, talked, laughed, listened to music, chit-chatted.
Celebratory?
Yes.
Was there ever any fighting?
No, none at all.
Any arguing?
None at all.
Any physical interaction?
No, none.
When you decided to leave that night, did you say around 1:45-ish?
Yes.
When you left around 1:45, was there any events that happened that night that would cause you unrest or excitement or your heartbeat to raise?
No.
When you decided to leave, you and your husband, where were you going to go?
We were dropping off Julie Nagel and Sarah Levinson, and then we were going home.
Had you planned on dropping them off
Why
earlier
would
in
he
the night?
bring that up?
No,
Hold on.
when we
Why
got
did-
there,
why-
Julie's.
Hold on. Why the hell did he bring that up?
We were dropping. No.
Any arguing? Celebratory?
Yes.
Was there ever any fighting?
No, none at all.
Any arguing?
None at all.
Any physical interaction?
No, none.
When you decided to leave that night, did you say around 1:45-ish?
Yes.
When you left around 1:45, was there any events that happened that night that would cause you unrest or excitement or your heartbeat to raise?
No.
When you decided to leave, you and your husband, where were you going to go?
Why would he bring that up? Anything to cause your heartbeat to race, because we have Jen McCabe's health data is out there from her Apple Watch, right? So I just wonder why he brought that up. I don't think I thought anything of it when I watched this, but knowing now how people were going over her health data and I don't know, speculating about her heart rate and stuff, I don't remember what it showed either. That's something I'm writing. I always write down stuff to look up later. So that's one of the things I got to put a pin in.
We were dropping off Julie Nagel and Sarah Levinson, and then we were going home.
Had you planned on dropping them off earlier in the night?
No, when we got there, Julie's brother had pulled up to pick them up, and
I won't ask you what was said because you weren't there.
Oh,
but
okay.
At some point, did you come to an understanding that you would give them a ride home?
Yes.
Did you offer?
Yes.
Who was going to drive home between you and your husband?
Matt drove home.
When you left, I want you to describe as you step out into the driveway or the walkway. Was it the front door or side door, if you remember?
I walked out the front door.
Is the weather like it was when you first got there?
No, it's picked up.
Tell us what you mean by it's picked up.
So as I walk out, you kind of go, the walkway is to the left. So I walk down the steps, I go to the left. The snow was coming, it was cold, the wind was picking up. So I kind of just like curled up and ran to my car quick to get in.
What part of the car did you get into?
Front passenger.
Who was driving?
Matt.
And where were the other two people?
Sarah and Julie were in the back seat.
Who was in which spot?
Oh,
I'm not exactly sure.
there's a time chunk missing. I don't know if I knew that at all. I just don't remember, or I don't know. I never heard it. So like, they don't know if she put it on the charger or just took it off, or It's interesting. I definitely want to look that up again. I really do.
So both of the young women were in the back seat?
Yes.
Was there any conversation when you got into the car?
We got in the car and they were teasing me.
Why were they teasing you?
Because I had like bread and maybe peanut butter in my car.
Why did you have bread and
That's
peanut
where
butter?
I watched.
I had my niece for the week, and I was dragging her like to all my kids' sporting events. So we'd go from like one game to another game to a practice. So sometimes instead of always giving her McDonald's or Dunkin' Donuts, I'd try to throw her a peanut butter sandwich.
And they were making fun of you?
Yeah.
As the car backs out of the driveway, tell us what you're doing.
I'm talking to the girls.
You just moved your head.
Yes.
Does that mean anything?
Yes.
How?
They were both sitting behind me. So I was like turning and, chatting and talking.
After your husband pulls out of the driveway, do you start to drive home?
Yes.
If the house is on my right and you're driving, are you in the passenger seat closer to the house or furthest away?
Passenger seat closest.
So you're driving, if you look at a picture of the house, you would be driving from right to left?
Yes.
So as you start to drive or your husband starts to drive the car, what direction are you looking in, if you remember?
The back seat.
Did you drive by the front of the house, do you know?
We pulled out of the driveway and went up Chapman.
Okay. And your husband and you passed by the front of the house?
Yes.
Did you pass by the flagpole?
Yes.
Were you looking at the flagpole?
No.
And how dark was it at that point?
It was dark.
Snow?
Yes.
As you're passing the flagpole, do you hear or see anything remarkable?
There was not that
No,
much
I'm not really
snow.
paying attention. I'm just chatting to the girls, and that's just focusing on driving.
When you're talking to the girls and they're making fun of you, what's the mood in the car?
We're all laughing and joking.
Where do you go next?
We drive Julie Nagel home.
After you drop off in Snego, where do you go?
We drop off Sarah Levinson.
Is the weather constant?
Yes.
After you drop off the young woman in separate spots, where do you go?
We went home.
Can you tell us when you get home what happens next?
We go in the house. I go up to bed. Matt makes himself a snack and then joins me upstairs.
Do you have a telephone?
Yes.
An iPhone?
Yes.
When you go to bed, do you stay up at all?
Yes.
Do you use your iPhone?
Yes, I do.
What were you doing?
I texted a few people and then I did a couple of Google searches.
And what were the searches for?
One, my daughter had played in a basketball game earlier in the night and it was a very good game. So I went and I read the report on it. And then my other daughter had an offer to play on a basketball team. So we had to make a decision about whether or not we were going to accept the spot. So I was just looking up that basketball club.
Other than those regular searches that one would do, was there anything remarkable about what you were searching at 2:27 that time frame?
No.
Yes.
After you were looking at websites for your child's sports, what did you do?
I put my phone down and went to sleep.
And up to that point, had there been any discord or fighting or arguments in your world?
No.
Peaceful night?
Yes.
Did you go to sleep, Ms. McCabe?
Yes.
Did you sleep through the night?
I typically get up to go to the bathroom, so that I could have gotten up possibly to go to the bathroom.
Did anything remarkable happen in the early
If I
morning
remember
hours of January
correctly,
29, 2020?
she did not sleep that night based on the health data, right? She was up pacing around and shit. And that's one of the biggest things. Like him actually bringing this up on direct allows for Cross to bring it up. And that's why I'm surprised. I literally, I feel like I'm watching this trial all over, like I haven't seen it before. And though I have, it's a completely different perspective. Yeah, that's what I thought. Her health data shows that she was active. And that's, I'm truly glad we're doing this because it's amazing what you don't pick up on when you don't know. Even with the very little knowledge I had prior to trial 2, the more I watched trial 2, the more I learned outside the trial as well. So each day that went on, I learned more and more. But again, watching this completely from the beginning, it's like watching it with a different brain because it's totally different. Not only paying attention to their actual like verbiage and their mannerisms, knowing what I know now, it's also I'm looking at it because when I watched this the first time, half this shit I'm like, what, and I just threw it out, which is probably what the jury would do, because if you're a jury and you obviously don't know any of the background, and half the shit that they bring up, like bringing up Bella's mom, like what? if you're a juror and you know nothing about these people, none of the history, nothing that happened in trial one, why the fuck are you even bringing that shit up? Because it doesn't do anything for the jury.
To that changed that peaceful mood into something else.
Yes.
I want you to share with the jury the first thing that happens that changes everything.
At 4:53, my phone rings and I look at my caller ID. I look at the phone and it's Kaylee, John's niece. John's niece. And I say hello, and she said, "Yeah." Well, basically, she relayed to me that.
Next question.
Hearsay.
When you pick up the phone, could you hear a voice on the other end?
I heard a voice and a lot of screaming.
And the voice you heard, is that Kaylee, John's niece?
Yes,
And the screaming, was it a man or a woman screaming?
it was a woman,
How loud was that person screaming?
very loud.
Could you make out anything that person was saying as they were screaming?
My name was screamed a lot, and then the other individual ended up getting on the phone with me.
And who was that person that was screaming in the background?
Miss Reed.
How long was she screaming for while you were speaking to your niece before you spoke to her?
The entire time I was speaking to Kaylee, she was screaming.
Describe her demeanor.
Miss Reed's?
Yes.
Jen! And then she's screaming that John didn't come home. She left him at the waterfall. She was hysterical. I was very hard to follow what she was saying.
How long did that first call last for?
I'm not sure how long, maybe possibly a few minutes, but it was loud enough and long enough that my husband shot up in bed thinking one of my kids had come in the room screaming.
Without saying what your niece said, could you describe your niece's demeanor when you first spoke to her? I mean, John's niece's demeanor.
I would say Kaylee sounded concerned, uneasy.
Okay. During that phone call, other than the screaming and the screaming of your name, did the defendant give you any information other than she had dropped John off at the waterfall?
They had gotten into a fight. She had left him there and he didn't come home.
And when you were woken up, were you in a sleep when you were woken up?
Yes, I was sound asleep.
What was your mental state like when you first woke up and got that call?
Well, I had been up late. I had taken my medication that I take for my MS, so I was definitely a bit groggy when I first woke up. So immediately I just wanted to help her. She was hysterical. Kaylee was upset. So I went into that kind of mom mode of what can I do? How can I help? So I immediately was like thinking, okay, well, if you left him at the waterfall, let me think who was still there, or, how can I help you? How can we find John?
Did you have a plan when you ended that first call?
I did. I knew Chris Albert had still been at the waterfall when I left. So I thought if Karen and John had gotten into a fight, maybe Chris had walked out of the bar, and Chris lived local to the bar. Thought maybe they walked back to Chris's together.
So what did you do?
So I called Chris Albert's wife, Julie.
Did you speak to her?
No, she never answered.
After you had a moment to make a phone call and think about things, did your head become any more clear?
It did. And I was, reminded by my husband that we had seen Karen and John's car outside of Fairview.
When he reminded you, did you independently remember the text messages that you sent to John earlier that evening?
Immediately, I was like, oh my God, you're right.
Did you remember that you had seen what you believed to be the defendant's car in front of the house and near the flagpole?
Watch the form.
Okay. What did you remember? What came to mind after you spoke to your husband about your memory from earlier that evening?
The minute he said it, I remember seeing the SUV and then all the text messages that I had and the phone conversation with John.
So after the defendant spoke to you and said she had left the defendant at the waterfall, and you had time to think about your memories, did you react or do anything with that?
Yes, I believe I called Kaylee back.
Why did you call Kaylee?
I didn't have Miss Reed's phone number.
When you called Kaylee back, did you speak to anybody?
Yes, I believe Kaylee and then Miss Reed.
When you first spoke to Kaylee, could you hear anything other than Kaylee?
The screaming.
Was it any different, or was it similar to the first time you spoke by phone?
Similar to the first time.
Regarding the demeanor or intensity, had it changed at all?
Not at all.
You mentioned the first time that you had that phone call, the defendant was screaming your name. Jen,
Yes.
Jen. Was she saying your name in the second call, or was it just general screaming?
My name. And then when she got on the phone, I had told her, Karen, I saw you guys outside of my sister's house. And then she told me she didn't remember being there. And then she went on to say, she started saying, could I have hit him? Did I hit him? I don't. And then she just was just all over the place, like screaming my name, screaming so many different things. She was
Oh,
hard
God
to follow
forbid
or
she was
understand.
upset.
When she was
Oh my
saying
God,
to
this
you,
is a
did I
puppy
hit him?
that
Could have I
takes
hit
the
him?
shit out of me.
Was that before or after you informed her that you had seen her out front of your sister's house?
It was after I told her that. She also informed me that she had cracked her taillight.
In that conversation, she told you that?
In one of the conversations I had with her in my bedroom, yes.
When you told her that you had seen her out front, she had said that she didn't remember that night. Was that before or after she was saying, did I hit him? Could have I hit him?
Can you repeat the question? Sorry.
When she was telling you about that she didn't remember that night, was that before or after you had told her about seeing her car?
When I said I saw her at Fairview, then her response was she didn't even remember going there.
Did she ever deny that she came to Mr. O'Keefe's house? I mean, to your sister's house?
No.
When she told you or said to you, did I hit him or could have I hit him or something like that, did you have any idea what she was talking about?
Yeah, exactly.
No, I didn't pay attention to it.
When she told you that she had cracked her taillight the night before, did that have any significance at that time to you?
No.
So in telling you these different things, did you ever piece them together at that time?
No.
What was your primary motivation at that point?
I just wanted to help her because she was hysterical. Kaylee was very upset, so I wanted to help her, and I wanted to find John.
So after she told you these things about whether she could have did hit her in the light and not remembering, did the conversation end or did it progress?
At some point, I was then going into like, okay, well, if she brought him there and left him there, where was he? Because he never came in the house and she doesn't know where he is. So now where could he be? So I started thinking there was another gentleman that was supposed to meet us out at the bar who John was friends with. So I thought, okay, well, in my head, I'm thinking maybe they got into a fight. John got out of the car and he connected with this guy because he was at a party on the street.
What was that person's name?
His name is Tom Beatty.
Did you call him?
Yes.
Did you get a chance to speak to him that night?
That morning?
Yes.
No.
Did you call around anywhere else?
I believe I called my sister. I called John. I called Tom Beatty. I called his daughter.
You called John O'Keefe's phone?
Yes.
Did he answer?
No.
Did it go right to voicemail?
I don't remember.
Did you text anybody?
I honestly don't remember if I texted. I primarily think I was just trying to call as many people as I could and try to figure out what happened.
Oh, you don't remember?
You had two conversations at this point with the defendant while you were still home.
Yes.
Was there any further?
She doesn't remember if she texted or called people that morning. Especially in regards to Tom Beatty. But yet she remembers exactly when and how she called and texted John.
Was there any further phone calls that you had before you did something?
I'm not sure if I know I went downstairs to make coffee because my plan was to go with my husband. I said, come on, let's just go over to Tom Beatty's. Let's see. Maybe John's there. He passed it on the couch. I'm not sure if Karen called me again or not. It's a little foggy because there was so many calls and everything.
And so that morning when you were receiving calls, did something happen?
Karen showed up at my house.
How did you know Karen showed up at your house?
I could hear her screaming out front.
And about what time is this?
Approximately 5:20, 5:30. I can't be sure.
Were you worried for John at this point?
Not particularly, no.
Were you screaming?
No.
Now, at this point, this moment when you hear her outside of your house yelling early morning hours, did you know a person by the name of Kerry Roberts?
I knew of her. I'd met her once.
Were you friends with her at that time?
No.
Had you socialized with her at that time?
No.
Had you ever seen her before with John?
Once.
Tell me about that.
Years earlier, as I said earlier, I used to take Kaylee on Friday nights, and Kerry was the one who would take Patrick on Friday night. So we would each have the kids. And to thank us, one day John told us how he got a discount at Reebok and to get our kids shoe sizes, and he was going to buy us all sneakers, just as a way to say thank you for helping. So we all went to the store together, and then John took Kerry and myself to the hillside for lunch.
How many years before this moment was that?
Oh, gosh. Well, I think that's when my daughter was in kindergarten or first grade, and at this point she was in 8th grade. So like 7 years.
Had you ever spent any other time with Kerry Roberts before this morning?
No,
Were you friends at that point?
no.
How would you consider your relationship with Miss Roberts on that morning when Miss Reed arrived to your home?
I had met her once, and that was the extent of it. I wouldn't say I knew her at all beyond that one time I went out with her.
And why don't you take us back now to when you first hear the defendant in your driveway yelling? When you hear that, do you hear any words or is it general yelling?
So I hear yelling. So I was downstairs making coffee. I go to my front door and I open it, and she's screaming, Jen, Jen. She's screaming that 3 times. And then she was saying, we have to go to Fairview. A lot of the, could I have hit him? Did I hit him? Just, she was on repeat.
What did you do?
My husband came running down the hall and was like, tell her to shut up. She's going to wake up the neighbors. And then I said, I'm just going to go with her. I'm going to go look for John. And then he yelled down saying something like, you can't be driving around in this weather, with a broken taillight.
When you saw the defendant at your front door, had the weather changed overnight?
Yes.
Was it different?
Yes. Now the snow had intensified. It was almost like, it was dark outside, but it was like whiteout conditions.
How dark?
Dark. I mean, it was dark. It was like 5:30 in the morning.
What was the visibility like?
Not good.
After you meet the defendant at your door, do you let her in or did she stay outside?
I'm not sure if I just grabbed my coffee and ran out or whether she came in. So we went down my walkway. She was just kind of running all around. The driver's door was open. So I told her I was going to drive because I thought she was too hysterical to drive. In the meantime, all of a sudden there was a car at the end of my street and there was a plow behind it.
The car that came to the end of your street, do you know where it went?
I meant the end of my driveway. I'm sorry.
When you say at the end of your driveway, did it pull into your driveway?
No, it just kind of stopped right at the base of my driveway.
Okay. How far behind your car was that car?
Not far, not too far.
Okay. Did you know who was in that car?
No.
Did you learn who was in that car?
Yes.
How did you learn who was in the car?
Because I said, who is that?
Did you ask the defendant or did you walk up?
I asked the defendant and she told me it was Kerry Roberts.
Did you meet Kerry Roberts face to face in your driveway that morning?
Yes, I wouldn't say we met. It was more of a, the plow was coming, so she was having to move down the street, and then either Karen called her or she called Karen, but they were on the phone, Karen's phone over the car, so they started talking.
Did you get into the defendant's car?
Yes, we did. I got in the car with Miss Reed.
When you got in the car, you were in the driver's seat. Was Miss Reed in the passenger front?
Yes.
You said there was an open call. Is this something you could hear on a speaker?
Yes.
At that point, had you had a chance to go and look at the taillight of that car?
No.
Did you have any interest in the taillight at that point?
No.
There was an open call between who?
Karen and Kerry Roberts.
Can you describe what you heard in that call?
Karen was saying that she wanted to go to Fairview, and Kerry Roberts was instructing her that no, we weren't going to be going to Fairview, and she kept saying, we got to go to your sister's house, and Kerry Roberts said, no, we're not going to be driving around in this weather in 2 cars. Let's go back to John's. Let's go to Meadows. Let's go see if he's there. That was kind of the conversation. And then Karen was doing a lot of screaming, and Kerry was kind of yelling back at her to shut up.
Who was taking charge of the situation that morning?
Kerry Roberts.
Everybody telling her to shut up. What?
Did you weigh in or make any decisions on where you were going to go next, or were you just a listener?
I just listened. Kerry said that Kerry's kind of a take charge person. She said, we're going to Meadows. So I said, okay, I drove to Meadows.
Now, at this point, you didn't know Kerry Roberts other than that meeting?
Yes, correct.
And you agreed to follow her?
Yes.
So tell us what happened. Take us through the drive.
She might have followed me. I'm not sure, but we drove back to Meadows, pulled into the driveway.
So you knew where Meadows was? You had been there many times with the kids?
Yes.
You think Miss Roberts may have followed you?
Yes.
What was the weather conditions as you were driving?
They were awful. It was, I was driving very slow, cautiously. It was dark. It was hard to see. It was that type where the snow was coming at your window.
How long of a ride was it from your home to John's home?
Approximately 5-6 minutes.
Was there any other phone calls while you were in the car with Miss Roberts, or did the phone calls end?
I believe that was it.
Can you describe the defendant's demeanor on the trip from your house to John's house?
She was just screaming, yelling things. It was almost like everything she said 3 times. And she just went from one thing to the next. She was quite hysterical.
Do you remember what she was yelling about?
About going to Fairview, asking, could she have hit him? Did I hit him?
How many times did she raise the question, did I hit him? Could have I hit him?
A good amount.
Did you ever speak to her about that?
No.
At some point, did you finally get to John's home?
Yes,
When you got to John's home, who pulled in the driveway first?
I did.
Where did you pull in respect to the driveway?
I just pulled straight in next to the garage.
Did you see where Miss Roberts went?
I believe she pulled in behind me.
After you pulled into Meadows, John's home, and you stopped, what happened next?
We go into John's house.
When you went to John's house, did you all go in the same way?
Yes, we went through the garage.
And before going to John's home, did you do anything?
Before entering into the house?
Yes.
I took off my shoes.
You took off your shoes?
Yes.
Why did you do that?
Because you always had to take your shoes off at John's. He didn't want you to track. He would have yelled at me for tracking snow in his house.
Did you see if Carrie took her shoes off or not?
I believe she did.
Did you see whether the defendant took her shoes off or not?
She just walked right in.
How would you remember that?
Because I thought it was strange.
What was your purpose when you went into the house? What was the number one thing that you were worried about?
We were looking for John.
Anything else on your mind when you went into his house?
Also, I knew Kaylee was there.
Now, at this point, did you have a close relationship with Kaylee?
Yes.
Do you still?
Yes.
What did you do when you went in the house? Where did you go?
I walked through the kitchen and then I kind of peeked into the TV room. I walked through the dining room, and then before I went up the stairs, I kind of peeked into a living room. I went up to the top of the stairs. I peeked into John's room, and then I went into Kaylee's room.
Did you ever see John?
No,
Why did you go to Kaylee's room?
because I wanted to go check on Kaylee.
Did you have a chance to speak to her?
I did, yes.
What was her demeanor at that point?
She was very, she was in the bed. She was holding on to her phone. She was terrified.
Was she screaming?
No.
Did you provide her any comfort?
Yes. I told her that I was going to go out. I told Kaylee that I was going to go out with them and I was going to find John. And I promised her that everything would be okay.
At some point, you left Kaylee?
Yes.
Where did you go?
I went back downstairs and then we went out to look for John.
Before you left John's house that morning, did the defendant show you anything?
Yes. When we were out in the driveway, I had thought it was when we went in, but I think it might have been when we came out. But regardless, at one point when we were in the driveway at Meadows, Karen showed myself and Carrie Roberts the cracked taillight.
Did you or Miss Roberts get close to the taillight at that point?
Yes, we walked over and the taillight was missing pieces.
Did Miss Roberts have any comment about it?
Yes, Miss Rob.
So she had a comment.
What was Miss Roberts' demeanor at that point?
She was frustrated with Karen. Had said that, had said that Karen basically was telling her to shut up. You were so drunk, you could have hit anything last night. And then Carrie, I remember just thinking, all right, let's go. And I remember Carrie thinking, oh,
Well,
someone's
let me
going to
not
get.
ask you what Carrie-
Oh, sorry.
We don't want to
Yeah.
think what somebody thought.
Hi.
Okay.
I want to know what you heard and what you saw.
Oh,
Mhm.
shit.
Okay?
Yeah.
All right. At some point when you were looking at the taillight with missing pieces with the defendant and Miss Roberts, did you see Miss Roberts point anything out?
Yes.
Share that with us.
She pointed a piece that was sticking out and was concerned that someone was going to catch their coat or something on it.
And during that time when the defendant is showing you the taillight with missing pieces, was she saying anything about it?
No, I don't. Not that I can recall right now.
You mentioned at some point she was saying, could I have hit him after you left John's house? Was that in the car or before you got in the car?
I know for a fact it was definitely in the car. Was one of the times. Yes.
Now, Miss Roberts' car is parked behind the defendant's car in John's driveway.
Yes.
Was there a decision made to take one or two cars?
One car.
What was the plan?
The plan was to get into Carrie's car and to go and look for John. I wanted to go thinking, let's go to Tom Beatty's, but Miss Reed was pretty adamant that we go to Fairview first.
You said that at times there was some arguing or bickering, or Miss Roberts was raising her voice to the defendant.
Yes.
Who made the decision to go to Fairview?
Ultimately, Carrie said, all right, we'll go there, almost like to shut her up.
When you got in the car, where was everybody?
How many times has she said shut up, or
car,
people
yeah.
told her to shut up?
Carrie was driving. I was in the
Wanted
front
her to
and
shut up?
passenger. Karen was in the back, in the middle, kind of peeking her head through between us.
I want you to take us through the ride from John's house at Meadows until you first get to Fairview. So as you pull out of, or Kerry Roberts pulls out of John's driveway, what is the mood inside that car?
I'd say it was starting to get tense because Karen was just continuously screaming. Kerry was trying to focus on driving, and Karen's behavior in the back of the car was a bit erratic.
When you say erratic, can you just give some detail what you mean by that?
Yes, she would go from sitting back to leaning up in between us, and she would yell Kerry's name 3 times. Then she would yell my name's three times, and then she would yell, "Could I hit him? Did I hit him?" Over and over again.
When she was repeating these questions or phrases that she was yelling, did you respond in any way?
I don't believe I did. No.
How about Kerry?
Kerry was telling her to shut up and to buckle up.
There you go.
Was she buckled?
Yeah.
I don't believe so.
You began your drive from Mr. O'Keefe's home at Meadows to Fairview. Is the weather getting better?
No, it's getting worse.
Is the visibility still difficult?
It was terrible.
As you began that drive to Fairview, was there anything that you were doing on the way?
Yes, I was just kind of looking out the window intently to see if I saw anything.
What were you looking for?
I guess John, which I know it sounds crazy, but I didn't know where the hell he was.
Did you have any difficulty seeing from the car the side of the road?
Yes.
Did you see what direction Ms. Roberts was looking when she was driving?
Well, she, it was hard because she needed to focus on driving because the conditions were that bad.
Did you have a chance to see the defendant on that drive at all?
Yes.
Was she looking out the windows with you?
No, she was popping back and forth and screaming.
Was it constant screaming, or did it change at all?
She would scream and then kind of sit back, and she'd almost be like quiet for a minute. It was like, okay, good. And then she'd start again.
In those quiet times, do you know what, if anything, she was doing?
I didn't know what she was doing that morning, no.
How long did it take to get to Fairview?
I don't know. I'm going to assume maybe 10 minutes, like with the weather, maybe 10 minutes. I'm not, give or take approximately.
As you're approaching 34 Fairview Road, before you get there, is Fairview going to be on your left side, driver's side, or on the right side?
As we're pulling up, it's on the driver's side. Carrie's going to take a left down Fairview off of Chapman.
I want you to take us back to that morning, about 20 or 30 yards before you get to Fairview.
Mm-hmm.
You're in the car with Ms. Roberts and the defendant?
Yes.
What's happening in the car?
Karen's is screaming, and at that point, she had asked if John could be cheating on her and if John could be with Bella's mom.
And then what happens?
I just didn't know what the hell she was talking about. I was like, what are you talking about? Why would he be with Bella's mom? And then Kerry said, well, do you think he could have walked to, there was another woman years before that John had dated who lived on the next street over to her house.
And as you approach that area before you get to the flagpole, does anything remarkable happen?
No.
Okay. What happens next?
As we're driving down the street, I just say to Kerry, because she doesn't know where my sister lives, oh, her house is just at the bottom of the street.
Visibility still difficult?
Yes, awful.
What happens next?
We continue, driving, and we're driving slowly past, the line of, I guess, bushes and the flagpole area. And all of a sudden, Karen's screaming from the back, there he is, or something. The effect of, there he is, let me out.
Did you know what she was talking about?
I had no idea.
When she was yelling that, did you look out the window?
Yeah, we had our eyes peeled out the window.
Did you see anything?
Nothing but snow.
How long was she yelling about whatever it is she was saying?
Kerry, she screamed, stop. So Kerry stopped pretty quickly. There he is, there he is. She could have kicked the door, like, let me out of here.
When she was kicking the door, what were you doing?
I was just like, what the heck? What is going on?
What happens next?
She gets out. Kerry looks at me and said like, she's batshit crazy.
Then what happens?
Then Kerry got out. Then I got out of the car, walked around the back of the car, and was walking like over to where I could see the girls were.
Now, at that point, you were in Kerry Roberts' car.
Yes.
It had his headlights on.
Yes.
Was it facing up the street of Fairview?
Well, we had come down the hill, so yes, up the street.
There was no other lighting in that area?
I do not believe so.
No fire engines or ambulances at that point?
No.
No police cars?
No.
Any street lights?
It was dark.
When you got out of the car, did you look towards the area of the flagpole?
Yes.
Could you see anything at that point?
No.
How close did you get to the area of the flagpole before you could first actually see something?
Well, I saw the shadowy figures of Kerry and Karen, And it wasn't until I got very close over to them that I saw Kerry removing the snow from John's face.
Is that the first moment you realized that that was John O'Keefe on the ground?
Yes, it was.
When you see Kerry removing the snow from John's face, what do you do?
I was frozen. I was shocked. I couldn't believe that was him just lying there.
Tell us what you see.
What do I see? I see Kerry just wiping the snow off. Karen had straddled him and had lifted her shirt and his shirt and was laying on him, and Kerry was screaming at her to get off of him. And I was literally just stunned, and there he was.
What did John look like when you saw him?
I couldn't see much but his face, because the rest was snow, and Karen was moving over him, but he just looked like just him, but just like frozen.
What did you do?
At first, I just stood there for a minute because I couldn't believe it was him. And then Kerry Roberts and I made eye contact, and I knew. I was like, all right, I'm going to call 911. But I think I knew in that moment that John, was dead.
Did you call 911?
Yeah, I started to call 911, and Kerry and Karen were just screaming. And so I walked back towards Kerry's car, and then Kerry was also yelling at me to go to the back of the car to look for blankets and towels. So as I was calling 911, I was at the back of the car looking for the towels and the blankets to bring over to Kerry. And while I was doing that, I believe 911 answered.
Did you speak to 911?
I did, yes.
Did you get the towels and blankets that Kerry had requested?
I did, yes.
After your phone call with 911, and you had the towels and blankets, tell us what happens next.
So after I called 911, I went back over to Kerry, Karen, and John. And at that point, Kerry asked if I would take over compressions. So she got up, and I started doing compressions, and Karen was doing mouth to mouth.
When you started doing compressions, were you touching John over his clothes or touching his skin?
I don't remember.
Did you at that point get a chance to touch John's body and see how it felt temperature-wise?
I just remember when I was doing the compressions, I don't really know how to explain it. It just felt very funny.
I'm sorry.
It just wasn't like normal.
Yeah.
I can't think of how to describe the way it felt when I was trying to press down, but it was like resistance.
How long did you try to give compressions and give aid to John for?
Until the police came.
Mr. Brennan, why don't we
Does she do CPR a lot, where it has to? How would she know what it normally feels like? It's just such a weird comment. I think we're gonna stop there today. Finish direct. And
Thank you.
So, tomorrow we will get into the rest of direct, and then the cross exam of Jen McCabe. What is it? 4:30. Yeah. So I'm going to call it a little early tonight. We got Rat House Media is going to be going live for pregame for Turtle Boy tonight. And of course we have Turtle Boy tonight as well. So I will see you guys in the chats this evening, and hopefully see you guys back here tomorrow about 1 o'clock. Love to you all. Bye.